what a performance there by J King.
J King, full plot armor.
J King is pushing himself into the ranks of the legend.
J King is our world champion! J King 7! What? The back-to-back KARDS world champion!
Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today I have a brand new series here for you guys. I have KARDS Deep Cuts Episode 1. So, what is KARDS Deep Cuts? KARDS Deep Cuts is a bit of a quiz show, bit of a podcast. We're still figuring out the form, but the premise is I have curated a collection of questions that I'm going to be asking my guests here. And these questions range from incredibly difficult to downright impossible. And they will be either working against each other or working with each other. They are welcome to do whatever strategies they have to get points on the board. But the goal isn't necessarily to win. It's not necessarily to get everything right. It's not about getting the correct answer. It's about the journey, and it's about the discussion that we have about the answer afterwards. So it's going to be using questions as a means to start conversation about cards, cards game design, cards balance, all other talks about meta, about nation design. All of these different things are hopefully going to come up with these questions, and I'm hoping that this is going to become a bit of a reoccurring series. So if you guys have ideas of your own deep cut questions, feel free to DM them, send them on Discord, send them in the comments, all of that fun stuff. But now, that is enough from me. I will throw to our guest at the top of the screen, Bear. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Bear Gardner. Odds are you probably already know who I am by this time, because I keep letting this man rope me into terrible ideas. But I'm a cards content creator. I suppose I'm best known for being the new player content guy and a bit of a community contact point. I do regular streams every week. I try and drop YouTube videos when I get the chance. I have no doubt that J King will throw all the links down below. Please come find me, join my Discord, join the streams, come hang out, ask questions. But really, I'm just a dinosaur that evolved to start playing digital card games. Like, I started playing card games back in the late 80s, early 90s, when Magic the Gathering was still a new and shiny idea. So, you know, I'm a dinosaur and utterly terrified, because when it starts with they range from really hard to downright impossible, I'm thinking, yep, saying yes was a good plan.
Yeah, you've been playing card games since before I was born, fun fact. I will now...
Why do you have to say that out loud? I mean, was that really necessary?
So yeah, Bear is bringing the experience, the longevity, and our guest at the bottom of the screen, first time on the channel, but you've been around in the cards content creation sphere for a little bit now. We have Core. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, how's it going? Cornette here, and I'm also a small-time cards content creator. Occasionally upload deck techs and occasionally stream when I have a spare minute. I haven't uploaded in like a week because the metagame is not great right now and I've not been having fun. So, but hopefully that changes this week. We'll see. I make no promises, but yeah, like similarly to Bear, I've been playing card games my whole life. Grew up playing Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, all that kind of stuff, and then graduated to digital card games. And I am most well known for my 9-year stint playing the Elder Scrolls Legends. May it rest in peace. So yeah, similarly to Bear, I have a background in card games, so hopefully this serves me well, but I do not have that deep of a background in cards, so I'm expecting to get none of this correct.
Yeah, there's you are at a bit of a disadvantage because a fair number of these questions are the answer is rooted in history of cards. So I'm not necessarily expecting you to do well on this, but I'm expecting you to be able to talk in the conversation about it, because you do have experience with a number of other card games. That's the same with Bear. Bear's been playing longer than Core. Neither of them have been playing in the time period that a lot of these questions may or may not be based in. So keep that in mind as the audience. But again, you watching this might not have been playing cards back then, so it's a bit of a history lesson while we're at it there too. Bit of podcast, bit of cards history, bit of quiz show. What's not to love? Let's jump into Cards Deep Cuts. All right, so part 1, it's separated into 3 parts. Part 1 will have 5 questions, Part 2 will have 4 questions, Part 3 will have 5 questions, for 14 total. The parts will get increasingly difficult, generally speaking. And also, the first 2 parts are themed, and the third part is just the most evil questions I could come up with. And again, just going over, I will be giving out points, which again are completely meaningless. I might even forget to edit them in because they're not currently set up in the UI, so there may or may not be points tracking. And part 1 will give you 1 point if you get it right. Part 2 will give you 2. Part 3 will give you 3. And also, I will be happy to give out bonus points for getting additional things correct beyond what I'm specifically asking for, any additional information. And yeah, the points are entirely meaningless. They are completely arbitrary. We are here to talk about cards. So yeah, with all being said, let's jump into question 1 here. How many cards say Panzer Grenadier? This is the easiest question I can give you. I should also clarify real quick. For part 1 only, you are not allowed using your cards collection or cards.com/collection. These ones you are not allowed. After part 1, you are absolutely allowed to open your collection and look through stuff. But for the part 1s, you are not allowed. These are the questions based on the collection of cards, and this is standard and classic.
Okay, I was about to ask that question, whether we're talking about reserved cards as well. Okay.
So yeah, you guys are absolutely welcome to work together as a team on these questions.
Okay, so in standard right now, I know, well, there's 2 for sure, because we have 108 and like 20 Panzergrens, right? The 5 cost and the 6 cost?
Yeah, but don't forget that there's the self-operating one. Then that works like a tank. Then there's the one that buffs tanks. Then there's at least
there was the pincer. I think it was a pincer one that reduced op cost. I think that was also Panzergrens.
Yep. I have a number. I'm just fairly certain I'm going to be wrong.
I know there's a lot of Panzergrens. They print Panzergrens a lot.
Yeah. There's a chunk.
Like, if the question was how many Volksgrenadiers, then it's like 4.
Yeah. There's bonus points on the table if you are able to name all of the Panzergrenadiers.
Oh god, no.
That's great. Those bonus points can stay quite comfortably on the table. Because I'm not even going to try, because I can't remember half of them. All right, let's start punting, and then Core can either come up with his own version or just agree or disagree with me, because that seems fair. I've been at this slightly longer. I think I can remember off the top of my head the art and text effects of 8 different Panzer Grenadier cards.
8 Panzer Grenadiers, okay. Do you want to say what you think those 8 are, or are you going to keep that until Core gives his answer?
No, I'm holding on to this, because I'm not helping any more than starting out with a number. There's being fair, and then there's just making life too easy.
Okay, so I do occasionally look through like the reserve cards, just because I like to see what cards have been and what cards can potentially come back. But God, there's like so many Panzer Grenadiers. My biggest downfall with cards, in specific as a card game, is it's very difficult for me to remember specific cards, because it's just regiment number, regiment name, and it's very difficult. I'm very bad with numbers.
No,
So-
that's right. I should also say, actually, that I don't think we clarified this, but for those of you watching, I think it's really important to be aware that of those of us hanging around here, Kor's the only one who doesn't have a full collection.
True, yeah. That's fair. I'm still. To me, it's not as bad as it was. I'm missing like 6 cards from standard right now, and then I'm good. But like, as far as like classic goes, hopeless. So I know for a fact there is 3 Panzer Grenadiers at least in standard. 108 number, 20 Panzer Grenadiers, and then the 2-cost 3/3 that operates like a tank, as you said. They're the only 3 I can think of that are in standard. Because I know there's like a handful of Jaeger regiments. We've got like 1 Volksgrenadier, and then we have like Gebirgsjägers. I can't think of any other Panzergrens. Because there's no infantry, I don't think. There's like no German infantry beyond 6 cost, from what I can think of. It's mainly just like big tanks. So there's definitely like at least 3 in standard. That's what I'm assuming. And then like that's assuming there's then 5 in classic. I think 5 is too few. I'm gonna guess like 11 total maybe.
All right. So our going higher than Bear, we have 8 and 11. Are you guys locking in those answers?
Yes, it's wrong either way.
I accept my likelihood of being wrong.
All right. So before we go to the answers page and just reveal everything, I will say in standard there is 7 cards that say Panzer Grenadier. So a bit more than 3.
I forgot, like, Panzerzug says Panzer Grenadier, right, yes, that's that are named, yes, okay, that makes more sense.
Yep, the wording of the question is very specific here. It says how many cards say Panzer Grenadier, not named Panzer Grenadier. So I will now flip to the answers. The answer is actually 12. There is 11 cards named Panzer Grenadier, and then Panzerzug says Panzer Grenadier in the card text.
I was...
Where is it? All right. Notwithstanding the fact that I completely misread the question, thanks, by the way, which I'll give you the Panzerzug. I'm trying to work out what are the 3 that I missed.
All right, so if we want, you are welcome to pull up your cards collection now and search Panzer Grenadier, and we can talk about the Panzer Grenadiers that exist in the game, because
there's baby Panzer Grenadier, the tiny little one that sits in reserved at the moment, I think.
Yeah, there is I would say 6 of these have seen serious play. 7 if you count Panzerzug off of Contest Doctrine.
Yeah. Okay, well,
no,
to be fair...
Yeah.
To be fair, I forgot like one. I forgot one interesting one, and the rest were very forgettable.
Oh God! I'm just realizing the ones that I've forgotten. Okay, no, that's fine. I don't feel quite as badly as I do because the ones I've forgotten are just painfully forgettable.
All right. Yeah. So these are the 12 cards that say Panzer Grenadier.
If anyone's curious, ones that the bear managed to completely forget the existence of, I totally and utterly forgot the existence of 39 Panzer Grenadier because nobody ever played it. I also forgot, to my eternal shame, the existence of 25 Panzer Grenadier, which I should remember if only for the most pointless text that I have seen in some considerable time, which I'm sure we'll discuss at a minute. And then the last one, actually, I feel quite badly about because I forgot that 64 was a Panzer Grenadier because it's always just been the Blitz credit cheat card to me. But those are the 3 I missed. Those are the 3 I missed.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the veteran guy. I totally forgot about the Burn Panzer Grenadier, the 304. Like, only used to play in Burn, pretty much. I did manage to get 110, which was the one interesting Panzer Grenadier that I didn't think of.
Yeah,
but I was correct though that there's no German infantry over 6K.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say the pincer infantry for the -1 op cost is a Jaeger regiment, which might be a question in episode 2. So, how many Jaeger regiments are there? But yeah, that is all of the cards that say Panzer Grenadier. That is, you brought up a very good point about cards and getting into cards and getting people serious about cards. Is that's a very different naming system than pretty much every other card game. Where every other card game is just like trying to come up with like distinct and memorable names to a certain extent, because it's really based on like either a very widespread IP or a custom IP where they can just do anything they want. Whereas cards is very limited in what they can call stuff. The orders, they can do anything they want. Units are really, really regimented, pun intended, into specific names.
Yeah, when it comes to cards, I'm like remembering like effect text and stat lines and credit costs. I can never remember like specific regiments. It's so frustrating, especially like if you ask me, like if you give me like a line of text from Legends, I'd be able to tell you exactly the card because I remember everything from Legends like so clearly. But like with this, it's just so difficult because is it 164th, 175th? Is it 676th? Like
you also get like a lot of inconsistency in just like the names themselves. So like a lot of Soviet infantry will be like there's guard rifles, but then some things are just guards, and then some things are like motor rifles, some things are just motors, some things are just rifles. They just basically on how much text they can fit into the title comfortably, they might add or remove other words. Or like there's a tank that's rotated called the Panzer Befehlswagen, but they didn't have enough space to put that in the title, so it's the PZ period Befehlswagen 35T. Whereas Panzer 35T says the full Panzer, and most cards that are Panzer say the full Panzer, but they're willing to shorten that. And then I feel like the way cards culture, at least in the Discord community, the English-speaking community, has developed a very inconsistent way of like shortening things. Like some cards are known by its number, whereas some cards will be known by the word, even if the word is used elsewhere, but just the most common thing. So like a lot of people will call cavalry regiment to refer to the 2-1 Japanese Blitz unit, even though there's like probably like 30 cavalry regiments in the game.
And then you get ironic things like people will talk about 22 in Germany, which of course is the 22 infantry, which is the draw engine. And no, you are right. We have I think the design team are hobbled by being tied to trying to use military terms from multiple languages and fit them on a card. And then we just, honestly, as a community, we do butcher the life out of names and conventions. And to be fair, also as a streamer, I am responsible for just calling a card the thing that it does. Like I said, like 64 Panzer Grenadier was just blitzing credit cheat to me for so long that I never really thought of it as anything else. Or like other ones, you'll see people say it's like the 3-4 blitzer or the 2-2 guard. And that's really helpful because then everyone's like, which 2-2 guard? Well, we're not great at clarity, but then as you say, part of the thing is we don't have that flashy advantage of, like, Tessel, I know, has the advantage of, or had the advantage of really memorable names. And so, to be fair to games like Gwent and stuff, and then Magic does its own thing. But yeah. It's fascinating and also, at times, really annoying.
Yeah, I found I've been playing cards since the very beginning, and I've been playing a lot of cards since the very beginning. So I'm probably, like, in the top, like, 0.001% in knowing the names of cards. But, like, there's some that just never see play that I could not tell you the number of. I could tell you what it does. But just as they added more and more cards, it was difficult to keep pace because a lot of the like shortened nicknames for cards that you might have, because it's like, oh, this is the only I don't know, this is like the only Motors that has seen reasonable play, so I'm going to call this card Motors. But then like 2 expansions come out and they both add 2 new playable Motors, and it's like, well, now I need to know the number of all 3 of these Motors. And then the other thing that really, really has screwed up my ability to know the name of all of the cards that see play especially when it comes to like casting, is develop cards have just like opened up a huge pool of cards that no one would ever put into their deck, but you see show up fairly often in games, and it's like that one card that does the thing. I don't know what it's called. You probably don't know what it's called if I said it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to point at things like, because we're talking about Panzer Grenadier, and I'm going to point it to the poor, undervalued, underused, under whatever, just under 25 Panzergren. You could not pay me money for that to be in any way a memorable card. A 4/6 non-blitz infantry that gets guard when it moves into the front line. Like... it's probably been in the game when I've been playing at some point, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean...
It is memorable only for the fact that it is Germany's second guard.
Yes. Yeah, it's Germany's one of two German cards that say... well, not
guard.
One of two German cards that say guard on it, but one of two German cards that give you guard.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Guards.
It speaks volumes in itself, but yeah, like there are some cards that are just not memorable because no one plays them.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to like what cards do you see play. Like when I say Panzer Grenadier or like when I say Panzergrens, you automatically assume I'm talking about number 20 because that's like the most played Panzer Grenadier. But like it's funny, right? Because you say Panzer Grenadier or Panzergrens, it's most likely going to be 3/4, and then by default you say 108 to mean the 6/6 because those are the main two that see play. So it's like it's just player shorthand. It just develops depending on what's actually played.
That's the thing is, I actually couldn't tell you that it's the 108. I just call it the 6-cost Panzer Grenadier because Panzergren is the 5-cost one in my mind.
Yeah.
And it's like and then I'll be, oh, my opponent played Panzergren. It's like, well, not the 5-cost one, the 6-cost one, which I've seen probably more play at the moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think most people most people I talk to when they're mentioning 108, if they're saying anything that I can say on a podcast, tends to say something along the lines of the route body or that route card. Nobody even thinks of it as a Panzer Grenadier because it's just.
I sometimes call it the 6/6. Because it's like, oh, I'm playing against Germany and they played the 6/6. It's like, yeah, okay, it's the only 6 health, 6 defense body, or 6 attack, 6 defense body, that Germany's playing. And that kind of brings me to the other thing where you talk about shorthand, and that's the issue with card shorthand, is it has developed differently in different communities. And when those communities try to interact, it can lead to a lot of confusion because nobody knows the proper name of the card. And they'll like, because I remember when I got into casting, I'd just been within my group of friends and people who I'd communicated with, I just called the 2/1 Japanese Blitz guy Cavalry Regiment. Like, it's the cavalry. He played turn 1 cavalry. And I started casting, I think it was with Innocent Bubbles. And I said cavalry. He's like, wait, which cavalry? I'm like, the cavalry. And I think we like figured it out, but then like a little bit later he was like, oh, and they played 15th. And I'm like, which guy's 15th again? He's like 15th Cavalry Regiment.
Yeah.
And then honestly, I think the Chinese community has developed it the best, where they'll just refer to cards, not anything to do with the name. They will just a string of 4 numbers with dashes separating them for deployment cost, op cost, attack, health. So it'll be like the 3-1-1-4 will be Seahawk because it's 3 cost, 1 op, 1 attack, 4 health, and it'll just be 3/1/1/4, and it gets the point across most of the time.
To be fair, it's relatively efficient. Like I've gotten more and more used to it because I do occasionally, actually quite often in the past, spend time talking with And Yet It Moves, who is kind of my counterpart in the Chinese community in that he does huge amounts of new player content. We've had loads of conversations and I've had to learn to talk and translate in basically like usually 3 letters and a string of numbers, because all you get is the nationality and the stats and maybe the board effect. But to be fair, it's a hell of a lot easier to follow than some of the stuff we come up with. Like in a certain way, it's more efficient because at least you can see what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then
Usually it's cost, op cost, attack, defense, and then at the front they'll throw whatever the
nation
national identifier. So, like 64 Panzergren, if I'm talking to Andy at It Moves, is just the German 2123.
Yeah.
With Blitz.
And yeah,
and weirdly, it works.
I'm sure it will reach a point where it stops working in specific situations, but I can't think of any off the top of my head that like cause any serious issues.
I am waiting for it to happen though, because as we continue to do this, there's going to become a point at which you can legitimately go, I'm sorry, which German 2123 Blitz? Because there are two of them.
Yeah, Bergman.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So there you go. Of course, that is the downside of the plan. But yeah,
you just hope things get rotated out fast enough, or nerfed into
in fairness,
irrelevancy.
I was gonna say, Panzer Grenadiers do have a something of a recent reputation of appearing being quite good and then being nerfed into non-played for a while.
Yeah, that's and then it's a whole other can of worms when it comes to like talking just in chat about cards, because there's often a lot of short form. Like people start throwing out acronyms, and some people get them, some people don't. And like personally speaking, I will recognize some. Like CW, that's Commonwealth. Absolutely know that one. Or like SS supply shortage, SSCD with supply shortage, critical damage. But then there's like some that people will throw out that I'm like, wait, what? I have to think, especially ones that hit like 4 or 5 different letters, where I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, especially when it's like some specific, and I find this, and there are quite a few people, and I love that you all know who you are. If you're listening to this, you know who you are. There are so many of the people who brew really interesting, convoluted, and complicated OTK decks, and they will throw out this long list of syllables and letters that are somehow this combination of, and it would make sense if you used the cards as often as they do, but usually there's at least 3 cards in there that I've never knowingly put in a deck to do something specific. But then there are ones that are just kind of ingrained into you that you're like, there are a number of cards players for whom MRSS will continue to be just triggering, because monsoon rot supply shortage was just a thing. And there are people who will never forget those 4 letters in any context, because that's the only context that matters.
And that's this is what I find so fascinating about the cards community, is just it is so like decentralized in a lot of the terminology. Because like I played a lot through monsoon rot supply shortage meta. That meta was awful. I saw that card a lot. I talked about that card a lot. I don't think I've ever used the acronym MR.
You go. Illustrates the point. But yeah, like, Core, I don't think you were here for that. Be grateful it was a thing.
It's a 9-credit 2-card combo. How good could it be?
Oh, it was a 9-credit 8-card combo. Or a 8-credit combo
8
at one
credit
point.
2-card combo, yeah.
which side got hit?
Supply shortage. That was 2 credits.
Got hit, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, a brief walk down memory lane. The card critical damage used to be 2 credits. Give all enemy units, when this unit takes damage, it becomes pinned. And that was 2 credits, and they were both standards. So it was the 2+2 combo, where when you hit 4 credits, you play supply shortage critical damage, and every unit on their board was dead without ever getting to attack again, but it would stay there on board, taking up space until it died.
Good design.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, they should definitely bring Monsoon Rot back. They gave us frontal defense recently.
I mean, if Monsoon Rot was an elite, I think it would be a perfectly fine card that people would rarely complain about. If it was
limited, right?
Yeah, it's a limited.
Why do I? I was going to say, why do I have the feeling that both you and I are on record as saying precisely that? I think at one point I did advocate that I could almost be convinced that it would be a tolerable special. But as a limited card, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something that 1939 would ever consider, just like bumping a rarity up, and like just if you just
so
give you back a wild
history
card.
lesson. It's history lesson. I believe it's been done once, and even then, it was only an emergency test job. It's something they really, really don't like doing because of the sheer logistics of.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever witnessed, and if you haven't, I'm sure you will at some point because I know the two of us have. There are moments where something will happen and people will get on the I want compensation for having invested in a card train. Imagine, if you will, a card that got crafted so much like something like Monsoon Rot. And then suddenly it goes from 3 copies in your collection to 1 copy in your collection. And the tirade of people you'd get going, we demand compensation or some way back for this. And then you'd get into how many standard cards should I be given or limited cards. And then the logistics of actually changing that in people's collection is a total nightmare, which is mostly, as I understand it from having a chat to some of the development team in the back, the reason that they just don't do it. They'd rather just hit it with nerfs or completely change the text. But what was the card? Was it one of the Tiger tanks? James is going to have to help me here because I can't.
There's very deep cut. Rarity changes have happened twice. Since leaving since finalizing the core set, rarity changes happened a lot more back in like the closed beta, even like the first couple months of open beta.
God, yeah.
But since finalizing the core set, it has happened once with a released card, which is the Tiger 1E. The 8-cost 7/7 elite can't be targeted by enemy orders.
Yeah.
On release, was accidentally a special. It was intended to be an elite. But it was just fully released into the game as a special because of just like someone like an oversight. So Germany just had one less elite in the Allegiance expansion than every other nation and had one extra special. So they updated that after a couple of weeks to an elite and gave everyone compensation. And then the one other one was Partnership was announced as a limited. And then changed to a special before being released into the game, but after being announced. Within testing, changing rarities within testing before cards have been shown or put into the game happens a lot. It's definitely like a way that like balancing cards, being like, this is too good as a standard. Let's like try it out as a limited, try it out as a special, swap it with this card that is maybe more like archetype defining and stuff like that. But once it's been published, and especially once it's in the game, I think that's pretty much like they'd rather nerf a card into unplayability than change its rarity.
Yeah, I mean, again, so that does explain why it is that I wasn't aware of the partnership one. Yeah, I should say, no one's going to send the ninjas after us for the fact that we can openly say that in testing we argue about card rarity on a regular basis. It's like, no, there is no way this should be a limited card. Just no.
And that's... I swear we'll move past question 1 at some point, but that is an interesting avenue of discussion, which is just cards' way it does rarity with how many copies you can play. Because my main game and first major CCG that I ever played was Hearthstone, which is 2 of every rarity except for the equivalent of Elite,
Legendary.
Which is 1.
Yeah.
Whereas, from my understanding of Magic, it's fairly similar. Where you can, it's like 4 copies of cards.
It's 4 copies of everything. There's no limit on how many of any card you can have, but there's a legend rule that if a creature is marked legendary, you can only control 1 on the board at a time, but you can run 4 copies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still run a full set in your deck. It's just you can't have multiple ones on it, which is, I mean, there are a couple of other games that do similar things.
Yeah,
but like
the Game of Thrones card game, you can have limited on a... You could have limited on a character card, and that means you could have the same number in your deck, but if that unit gets played and dies once, the other ones are literally just useless cards in your hand. They can never be replayed. So
Yeah.
it's similar, but yeah, just the way KARDS does different rarities also affect. Obviously, like, it affects the economy, but it affects how many you can put in the deck. Because it gets really interesting when you're talking about balancing cards, or card design, I should say. Because you're like, you want a powerful effect to be limited on how many times you can trigger it. So you want to put it on an elite card. But there is a certain level of just feels bad, man, if all of the best effects in the game are all elites. Or just like, I'm in a very good spot unless my opponent has this one-of card in their 40-card deck on curve. And then that just leads to a really bad situation where you almost prefer it to be a standard. So you're like, okay, they're going to mulligan for it. They almost certainly have one by turn 5. It's just going to come out. Like you have with even a Hearthstone, smaller deck size is 2 copies of most cards. Where it's like, okay, they're reasonably going to have it by like turn 5, turn 6. Whereas in cards, it's like, they've gone through like 15 cards of their 40-card deck if I played around a one-of.
Yeah, I don't suppose there's any way that you might possibly be referring in any way, shape, or form to a draw-based Japan elite order there when you're talking about, a card that if you got on curve was just game.
I mean,
because again, I don't know whether Core's even familiar with Feigned Retreat. But if you're not,
very aware of the existence of Feigned Retreat. Yes, it is somewhat of a mythological figure in the cards community. I understand.
My favorite thing about Feigned is I unironically think you could introduce it. You could just bring it back, same version, keep errata in the game, and I don't think it would be the best way to build Japan. Like, I think people would play it, but like, I just don't think Feigned Retreat would really work in the current metagame, because I think there is just too many powerful orders, and draw is not an issue for Japan. At all.
No, 100%. I 100% agree with you. There are actually a bunch of arguably overpowered cards. We'll move on, I promise. There are actually a bunch of very strong cards that you could bring back as were. Just back into the game, and honestly, at the moment in the current meta, they'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, like,
completely unplayable.
I mean, like, if you bring back Feigned Retreat, are you cutting Rush? Are you cutting your 4 copies of Expansion and your 3 copies of like Shifting Doctrine? Are you cutting your Shuffle package? It's like,
yeah, you like can't use Soviet ally. You can't use France ally or Poland ally. Like, there's just no point to play Legions or Shuffle. Or like the self-damage rush package. It's like, and you have to have Eratos to fish it, so it's like you have to be Germany. And German ally is just not the best. I never thought I'd ever live to see that day where German allies are not the best for Japan aggro, but that is where we're living. I will move on to the next question.
Conversation on Discord. Yeah, let's get to question 2 before we go any longer.
We're basically 40 minutes into this recording, and we have gotten to one of 14 questions. So. Let's keep things moving.
All right, guys.
After which expansion was there approximately half of the current total number of cards in the game?
I hate you.
So, if you need clarification, because some of these questions will get a little wordy and a little confusing, so you are welcome to ask any clarification on questions.
So, my first clarification is... Yeah, are we talking about total number of cards including Classic? Or
yes.
Total number of live cards?
So total number of unique cards in your collection that have ever been printed. At what point have the total number of cards that exist now, at what point was half of that number introduced? So basically, at what point in the card's development cycle was there half of the current total number of cards?
At which point did we have like 1,500-ish?
Yeah, and I will remind you, you guys cannot look at the collection for this one.
Yes, I'm fully aware, because the thing that's killing me here is I really, really struggle with remembering the release order of the expansions.
Well, I didn't play anything before Blood 9, so...
Yeah, good luck!
So
I'm gonna go for a screwball answer here and just assume it's gonna be something weird like Theaters of War or something.
I can knowing the order and the names of the expansions is not intended to be part of the quiz, so I will tell you guys the order of the expansions in cards. So we have the base set, then we had Allegiance, which was a major expansion, Theaters of War, which was a minor expansion, Breakthrough, which is a major expansion, Breakthrough Catalyst, which was a minor expansion, kind of like the United Front air supremacy type thing.
Set. Yeah.
Then we had Legions, major expansion, Legions Uprising, minor expansion. Then we had World at War, which was a series of mini expansions, which are now categorized as a single mini expansion. And then we had Brothers in Arms, Winter Warfare, Covert Operations, Blood and Iron, United Front mini set, Naval Warfare, Air Supremacy mini set. I'm pretty sure I hit everything there.
That's all of the ones that I'm aware of, and having the order helps a bit.
I can also type that down in Discord, because I know that's going to be difficult to remember.
Damn right.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair, especially to Core. I think it's probably fair that we put that in text somewhere, because at least I have the advantage of having looked enough at classic games that I vaguely remember the names of the expansion. Core, you haven't seen most of these.
I thought Theater of War came out later. Maybe I'm mixing it up with like World at War then.
Yeah, it doesn't help that a lot of them, because there's World at War and Theater at War, or Theaters of War. And then
I was going to say,
wasn't Feigned Retreat Theaters of War?
Yes. Yeah, Feigned Retreat.
Oh, that was around for a while. Okay.
Yeah, that was the second ever expansion in Cards, June or July 2020.
Weirdly, thanks to doing history videos with Jaking before, that's a period I've learned more about than I ever thought I would. Including how insane people were. The one that always makes this complicated, though, is that there's the multiple mini expansions that was World at War, suddenly now being World at War being its own thing now. Plus, technically speaking, you couldn't really cheat that effectively, because now World at War is also home to a bunch of other mini expansions. Because why wouldn't it be? World at War, just where you shove everything. It's like the ultimate cards carpet.
I mean, it's kind of nice that they have like a designated set for mini sets, if you get me, where like every mini set card gets pushed into this one set.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
to be fair, Cards does things a bit weird anyway, with like only ever having the most recent expansion pack and everything else being in core set. That is very strange to me.
I did just send the first half of it. I hit enter accidentally. That is currently incorrect, so I will be editing that. Don't look at that yet.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we did say we'd probably stray into podcast territory, because that's kind of the more fun part of this. But no, it both is and it isn't. There is a certain degree to which it's not perfectly ideal for collection, but then there's a whole thing about getting people to understand how they access the new cards outside of pre-orders.
Yeah,
has always been a thing. Especially when you also then realise that that changes when you're talking about a card that's rotated back in versus a card that's just been released.
Yeah, I only actually thought about that recently. It occurred to me when they launched Air Supremacy and they did the rotation changes. The new cards from Air Supremacy appear in core set, but the returning cards appear in the most recent expansion packs. Which is a weird way of doing it.
Honestly, there's a certain extent to which I think it's just the way it's done at the moment. Yeah. Which is, not the... There are a number of better ways it could be done, but then, I mean, I'm on record as saying, can we start getting more regular access for people to buy more expensive ally-only packs out of the shop on a regular basis? Because there are so many new players who struggle for allied cards. There we go.
Yeah,
it's not that many.
Everything is pretty much correct down to like a month or so, but the year and time of the year is correct on everything there.
Yeah. I'm going to let Core go first, because I think I know where I want to land on this, but...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's probably Brothers in Arms. because if it's like we're talking about like half the set, right? 1,500 cards. When you look at this, like we have base set, a major expansion, mini expansion, Breakthrough is a major expansion, Catalyst mini expansion, Legion's major, then like two kind of mini expansions, and then a major expansion. But then like the back half of this is like pretty much all major expansions. It's like four
Yeah.
major expansions and two mini sets. So I'm gonna say Brothers in Arms. I think is probably like the safest.
So you think Brothers in Arms brought it up to half, or it was before Brothers in Arms we had half, and then Brothers in Arms?
I
down
think
or
Brothers in
down
Arms
half?
brought it up to half.
All right. And
Whereas, and I prepare to be stood corrected on this, but I actually think it was probably at the end of World at War. So I actually think we would have been at half the collection just before Brothers in Arms. But hey, yeah, let's find out, because we're closer than I thought we would be.
all right. The thought has just occurred to me that I should probably be keeping track of points as we go through this, just so even a rough idea of points. But I will say, I think I'll give Core a point for 11 on the last one. On this one, neither of you get points, because halfway point was actually Breakthrough Catalyst, which brought us up to 645, which is one card over halfway of the 1,288 cards that exist in Cards, which was March 2021.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
This is where I'm suddenly wishing I'd paid more attention, because we had you and I have no excuse here, because you and I had a conversation in which I kind of learned some of this fact in a history video, because we were talking about how large the early expansions were because of the speed of the growth from base set.
Yes, so
And now I feel like an idiot.
so just going off some quick numbers, the base set is 350 cards. So even now, the base set is actually more than a quarter of all cards
Out of the cards, yeah.
in the game. And Allegiance was 150 cards. So after
Cards.
the first expansion, December 2019, Cards was at 500 cards, and we're currently at 1,288. What is this now? 6 years later. So
Later.
the speed at which cards have been printed has come down a lot. And I'm actually curious to hear what you guys experience with other CCGs. How big are the base set compared to the expansions in other, specifically online CCGs? Like, how weird is Cards in this way?
I don't think it's abnormal.
No, I don't think it's abnormal size-wise. Where I think it's a little bit abnormal is... So it's difficult, because you kind of can't count Magic, because I know lots of people are gonna... I know there's a lot of you out there who are listening to this, taking a deep breath to hoe forth about the way that Magic the Gathering works, and you're absolutely right. And if you put Cards or Gwent or Hearthstone or any other, even Tessel, no offense meant, Core, next to Magic, they will look weird. But that's because Magic's design was, for those of you who don't know, was a physical-only game. So it had to do things differently. But
It's also very much designed for booster draft. Just like specifically.
Yeah. And that means that you have to effectively sunset expansions into heritage formats, which is something that obviously Cards doesn't do, because Cards has a rotation pool, which actually I'll get back to in a minute, because I actually think the rotation pool and the method by which rotation works in Cards is much more interesting than the collection size. Honestly, most online card games that I've come across follow a relatively similar pattern, where the core set is pretty chosty and it grows fairly quickly, and then either they have to start removing cards, which is where we'll get back to rotation permanently, or they have to start really shortening the number of cards they release, because otherwise it just becomes unmanageable. But I do think the thing that's interesting about cards is the way that rotation works, and I think it's interesting in a good way, and it could be a very positive selling point, because as is endlessly reminded of you, there's no such thing as a dead card in cards. Just a card that's in rotation until it comes back, even if it gets changed. Whereas there are quite a lot of games that approach things differently and will either remove a card or sometimes, I guess, rewrite a card. But yeah, I mean, again, it's difficult for me at times, though, because most of my formative cards experience was with physical card games that just can't operate this way. But I would say this feels like it's close to where... I think Hearthstone's pool's a little bit larger, if I remember correctly. Core, I'd have to look at you where Elder Scrolls Legends is. I don't think it's that far off on whole card pool, though.
No, when it came to like core set in Legends, we had I think just over 350 in core set.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind, Legends, we never had rotation. We had all cards at all times. So when the way core set was designed, from like again, Legends was alive for 9 years. From start to finish, there was multiple core set cards that remained staple for years. Like we were still playing Warcrafters, Shrieking Harpy, Daggerfall Mages. We were playing all that stuff from start to finish. 350 cards in core set, and then the expansions were like slightly smaller, about 100 and something cards per expansion. But again, it's a game where there was like 5 colors. You had the neutral pool plus dual color cards, so there was like extra space there to be filled, especially with like the dual colors, and then later the tricolor cards when that became a thing. So
yeah.
So from like a Legends point of view, it's like a pretty reasonable number, especially like when the deck building systems for cards and Legends were pretty similar. You pick two quote unquote colors and you build from both. So it makes sense. Like the core set has to be bigger in a game where you're like mixing classes, if you get me. Yeah. It like when you look at Hearthstone, it's all very like insular. Class cards, like you're building majority of class cards and a handful of like whatever the playable neutrals are. So
yeah,
my experience is again primarily with Hearthstone. So when Hearthstone's base set I think was about a similar size, but they also had 9 classes. To Cards is 5, so you do need more of them, and you need more cards in those as well, because you can't bring in cards from other nations or classes. But when Hearthstone first introduced rotation, it was just a purely set, like, when set came out, entire set went out. So you could very much say, like, these cards will be in the game for 2 years, and after 2 years, these cards will leave the game. And then all of the base set cards will stay in it. And that was, like, their way of sort of designing class identity, where it's like each class will function around, like, the core mechanics in their base set, and then they might get things added onto that might complement it or take it in a new direction for like a year or two, and then those will leave, but their core class identity will stay the same. And then they eventually ended up dropping that entirely, and basically just creating a moving core set of just like cards that they wanted to be everyone would get for free immediately, for that period of time where any class can draw on that, plus the cards that would come out in the expansions, so they could better fit expansions with what cards were available. The way Cards has done rotation is obviously very different than that, where they get to pick and choose individual cards that come and go. And some classes have lost a lot more of their base set cards than others, as their class identity has changed since the base set. I think that's a thing with Cards, is the class identity. Maybe it's not that the class identity itself was very weak at the beginning, but I think the power level of the things the different nations did were not on an equal level, and some nations, like, core identities were much better than other nations' core identities. Like, Germany's core identities were gaining additional credits and discarding the opponent. Turns out those are both very good in different types of decks. Soviets had, like, an archetype of, like, destroying your own units, which, as it turns out, is really bad, because there's almost no reason to want to do that. And I mean, Hearthstone faced the same issue where part of class identity was things your class lacked, like things it struggled on. And there was a while where certain classes in Hearthstone, their issues were, like, their class identity was struggling with card draw. And that sucks as a class identity because that makes the class suck, because you need card draw to do anything. And that...
I was going to say, it transpires in a card game that having cards in your hand helps.
Yeah, and we've sort of seen cards go through that same period where there's been periods where certain nations just did not have card draw. And those nations tended to not be played in the periods of time where they did not have access to card draw. And the nations that had access to a copious amount of card draw saw copious amounts of play and were a common ally nation in other nations.
Yes, and by these nations, yes, I suspect both of us are mostly referring to Soviets on one hand and Britain on the other. But no, you are. I think actually, really, bit like I'm not going to let us. I'm going to try not to let us go too long on this subject. But first of all, shout out Yu-Gi-Oh, the only card game I know, if I remember correctly, that still has the every card printed ever is always legal rule, which is lunacy.
Well, they have like a restricted list.
They have a ban list, but other than that, yes, correct.
Yeah, I was going to say that, to be fair, you are correct. There are certain cards that have been banned, but that is as I understand it, that is literally the only way. Like, no set ever goes out of date. Like, it is only, like, the only way you can't play a card is if we decided, whoops, we should never have printed it, which is just madness. And then, but I think in cards, identity-wise, it was quite recently. I don't know whether Cole was around for this or not, when we finally saw the 0/4s rotated out. And many people thought that would never ever happen.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
There were people who sort of were like, when these were sort of these cards were the signature identifiers for the nations in some ways, except for America.
Yeah, well, it's America's signature identity of being bad.
Because America, because as it transpires, America's 0/4 didn't say "give more credits, please," which it should have done in hindsight, if you really wanted it to be the identity. But the other ones, to be fair, did kind of lean quite hard, even if it wasn't necessarily in a most effective way, into the way that the nations worked. But I actually, at the time, I think when it happened, I talked about it in reviews. I thought it was healthy to see the 0/4s disappear so that nations can try and find, or more importantly, re-find identity. Because at the moment, I think there is a struggle. Because I had this conversation with a whole bunch of people recently, because I keep being asked about control decks. And it's like, strongest control nation in the game right now. Well, I mean, if you're talking about pure card pool, it's Germany. And no, they haven't by nature been intended to be a control nation, but they sort of are now because of the tools they've gotten. But I think, yeah, I think we need another couple of expansions before we're really going to see nations regain an identity. Or perhaps in the case of Britain, maybe we could, and I'm the heir player, maybe we could lose some of the identity so that there's something else you can do. But that's just me.
Guys, don't worry. I'm sure next expansion they'll give cards to Poland that actually match their nation identity this time.
Yeah.
No. Both of us can tell you after this long that definitively is not going to happen. That's not how this works.
Man, the history of... For this video, I gathered a lot of stats. I went through and, like, documented every single balance change that has ever happened, every single, like, expansion going through all of the cards. And man, it was depressing looking at Poland. It was just like, wow, that card was printed. And like I'm looking at the cards that were printed around it. It's like strictly worse than the main nation cards of all 5 main nations, and it's the new nation, and also it's supporting an archetype that no other card that that this ally nation has access to supports. It's like I remember very distinctly where they introduced Italy in Allegiance. And Italy was the Alpine nation. It was the aggressive nation. There was a lot of cards that were just very cheap and like stuff that was like, if you have more units on board than the opponent, do this. And it was just very aggressive. Like Italy was the aggro ally, and France was the control ally. And then I think the next expansion, like Theaters of War, they got like another aggressive unit, and then the next expansion they might have gotten another aggressive unit. But there was at one point where they just like, I think they printed Decima. And it was like the only Italian card that costed more than 3. And it's like, this is really good, but like you're never picking Italy for what, like 2 cards?
Yeah.
And then like the next like 2 or 3 expansions, they introduced a whole plethora of other control options for Italy.
I was going to say, oddly enough,
like
that
the
there was a
control.
time when Italy, there was a time when Italy wasn't the control and removal ally, believe it or not.
But yeah, I just find the way cards does rotation and class identity like through expansions is quite interesting. I'm not entirely sold on it. Like I'm not entirely sold if it would just be better to do it like most other games do it, where it's just like, oh, this expansion's been in the game for this amount of year, we're rotating all of the cards from this expansion. And then like maybe you take like the most iconic cards or the cards that are most like integral to the meta game, being like fair and fun, and then you just like slap that into like a permanent card pool that is just always has access to, like basically the way Hearthstone does it. I don't know if that would be better for cards. Maybe they don't have the card pool to do that yet, but I do, and I mean you're newer to the game, Core, so you can speak to this, but I have to imagine the way cards does rotation is kind of weird to new players, where it's just like, oh, this card is in the game now, it's very powerful, lots of people are playing it, and it came out like 2 years ago, it's not in the core set, it's not in the first expansion, but like, you know, it might just be removed from the game, and it might be removed for 6 months, it might be removed for 12 months, it might be removed forever.
I will say, I do actually have experience with this, because I had crafted the Soviet 04 the day before the announcement that it was being rotated.
Oh no!
And that sucked. And this is at a point where I was like just starting to get like a collection going, so like it's like, oh well, that was a waste of wildcards. Sick, love that for me. But like overall, the actual rotation system, I don't mind so much. I think it's interesting. I like the way that they bring cards back all the time. I think like that is the thing I most like from the rotation, is that yeah, the card's gone, but it's not necessarily gone forever.
Yeah.
Like it gives them the opportunity to do like interesting things with cards they bring back. If they want to enable a certain archetype or a certain package, they can bring back 1 or 2 pieces that support it. That's something I really, really like about the system. I would just like if they potentially like took out more impactful cards. Like we saw, they use a lot of the rotation slots to remove a lot of chaff from the main set, or like from active duty. Like rotating a bunch of cards that no one plays, like 39 Panzer Grenadiers, for example. But I wish they would like take slightly bigger cards out of the metagame. Like if we had lost Blitz Doctrine last rotation, I think the metagame would be a lot healthier currently.
Yeah.
Like just taking select pieces, like important, widely played pieces from a handful of nations would be good. Like even if like number 20 Panzer Grenadiers got rotated, that wouldn't be the end of the world. Like there's a handful of things they could do, I think, with rotation. They need to be a little bit more, I don't know, out there, I think, with what they choose to rotate.
Yeah, it would be nice if they took bigger swings with what they took out, and then that would lead to them maybe having more impactful card returning. 'Cause I think the last one was fairly good with reworked cards seeing a fair amount of play. I guess the most recent one, not a lot. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. You guys experiment more with like tier 2 decks than I have done recently, so.
Dina is seeing a lot of play right now.
Yeah, Dina.
Dina and Time 94 TK are like I
Japan.
think most impactful returns. Yeah, exactly. Which didn't need the help, but like I'm just trying to think what the other returns were. Oxford is still unplayable, as I found out on stream.
Despite the
else
fact
came
that
back?
everybody keeps trying. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah,
why.
I mean, turn 2 Oxford, turn 3 Plan West is like crazy, but the Oxford never lives. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah,
think what else.
yeah, there are many things
Ti-
that fit that category.
the Tiger came back, but that just replaced Panther D in the Blitz Doctrine pool and
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
nothing else. Oxford's done nothing. Then Soviets got back Minority Recruits, which doesn't do anything either.
Yeah.
Like the only good card is it's interesting that they brought back Minority Recruits, Partisans, and Confusion. Confusion is arguably the only good card they got back. It's seeing a little bit of play every now and again in like Soviet Italy. I don't think it's particularly good, but it is seeing play. I'm just trying to think what else. Like, was there anything relevant other than that came back?
I'm sure there's
I
like
don't
something
think
that
so.
like people are playing all the time and we're just completely missing and we're gonna get roasted for it. That's my experience trying to like
Yeah, I was
remember
going to
things
say,
off the top of my
like,
head
inevitably
unprepared.
at some point, so somewhere down in chat, they're going to remind us of something we've forgotten. But no, I think those are the ones that really have seen play. I will say, I personally would very much like to see I don't know what you'd term it, almost like an armistice patch where they do a single rotation that is actually maybe 60 or 70% larger than a normal rotation, in which they take out the same amount of chaff to try and bring back some other stuff that people can use. But as you guys are saying, that they actually take a big swing at cards that are like, all right, because I thought we were starting to lean in that direction when we saw the 0/4s go. It felt like finally it might feel like it's okay to just kind of go, right, let's upend everything. I think in
Yeah.
some ways it would be useful to have like a big, effectively sea change of the environment of cards, like a huge meta shakeup that would take 1 or 2 expansions to settle itself out, not 5
Yeah.
or 6 minutes.
That would just be really nice to have like a rotation where it's like, oh, this rotation is actually like killing every tier 1 deck in its current form. Let's find out what happens after that. As opposed to like, oh, this tier 1 deck is losing like 1 card that they can easily replace, and like this one's losing like 1 elite, but they're getting a new one that does exactly the same thing. And it's like, and then like maybe 1 gets axed because it's kind of problematic. And then that
Yeah, I mean,
nation
it's
just
almost like
stops seeing play.
it's like a soft reboot wouldn't
Yeah.
hurt to just
Like-
hit the reset button and let people cook.
Like a once a year thing where they're like, hey, we're going to remove 70 cards, a bunch of it is chaff, but we're also hitting all the big decks, like once a year, just like a big shake up.
Yeah, that's the nice thing
Just
about
like-
the Hearthstone's format is just having like, yeah, it is at one point in the year they remove like an entire year's worth of expansions across all of the classes. And like that's gonna be hitting all sorts of like key combo pieces and like staple legendary staple cards of all rarities. And it's like cards just doesn't really feel like we have that. Like there's definitely been rotations where they've removed good cards and that have affected the meta, but like not in a substantially like a meaningful way.
Yeah, it like
Yeah, I
changes
don't-
2 cards in the top decks, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, or it's like one
Yeah, I
one
don't
deck
think-
of the
yeah.
top, like of the 5 tier 1 decks, 1 falls off. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
wouldn't it be nice to like see a moment where we can start to see other people kind of like being able to, because I know there are lots of people out there who cook some really interesting decks, and I always feel sort of bad for the people who reach out asking about deck building advice and stuff, because the reality is at the moment that because of the stability of certain through lines, the core of a lot of metas only changes very slightly. Like, let's be blunt about this. Germany saw some changes in cards, but hasn't really altered what it was doing. In fact, it's just sort of gone back to the incredibly strong ramp into Blitz Doctrine thing it was doing before the last really strong, overly strong central card pool thing that it's doing. Japan, pretty much the same thing. Like, there's been a change to the core card pool, but both Germany and Japan, in my humble opinion, could do with the next expansion saying, right, we're just going to give you some crap tier 2 cards while giving everybody else a normal expansion, just to kind of maybe even out the actual core card pool. But we are straying so far into a whole different, like, that could be a whole video in and of itself, just a discussion of the balance and the meta and all of that. And if the three of us allow ourselves to do it, we will be doing it for the next 2 hours.
I will just say, I've just looked up the returning cards that came back this expansion in the rotation.
Yeah.
Of everything that returned, the only cards that are seeing any amount of play are like DNAT, Type 94 TK early, Tiger E, like I said, off of Blitz Doctrine. Welsh Guards is seeing a tiny amount of play in like buffs decks specifically.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. That's a good reminder. Yeah. That was going to be in chat if someone hadn't looked for it.
Yeah, Counter-Strike is seeing 0 play. I don't know why they brought it back. Like I said to Bear when we were talking about the returning cards, they should have at least put the text "draw a card" on it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Fifth Rangers is seeing play right now in Germany, US. And F4 Wildcat is seeing play specifically by me in US Air.
Yeah.
In fairness, I was playing it earlier on today, but that's only because I was playing a US Finland deck.
Oh yeah, it's good in that deck. It is very good in that deck, but I think that's the only deck that kind of wants it.
Yeah.
I will quickly touch on Counter-Strike, and then we can move on to the third question. Counter-Strike, my favorite part about Counter-Strike coming back is it was listed as a reworked card. It wasn't listed as like a buff. It was listed as reworked, like in the actual patch. And it's like lowering a credit cost is not a rework. That is the exact same.
No, it's
card.
just yeah. As it transpires, it's just buffing it not enough.
Also, I'll have a fun fact for you here. Counter-Strike on release was 3 credits just when an enemy air unit or artillery attacks your HQ, destroy it.
Yes. yes. One card type that's almost never printed, and one card type that's like usually not even that good.
Yeah, a card type that like 1 in 4 decks will play any amount.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyways, question 3. Again, these are still the easy ones. Name the only card in the game that begins with the word "is." And I will say, this is not counting, obviously it's not counting the name of the card, and it's also not counting keywords, because keywords get listed before any, like, effect text. Not saying it has a keyword, I'm just saying that if it had a keyword, it would not necessarily apply to this.
Is this specifically the word "is," or is it the letters "is"?
Specifically the word "is."
Okay, alright, okay. I thought you were gonna try and squeeze in the Soviet 9 cost.
Yeah, I had a feeling someone was I'm assuming that he's nowhere near nice enough for that to be the case.
Is.
This is bugging me.
Is it a unit?
That's
no, it wouldn't be. It would not be a unit, surely.
Oh, this one was fun to find.
Is like separate from the rest of the name? Like, is space?
So it's not in the name. So it has the name of the card, and then the actual like text on the card. The very first word, distinct word, on the card is.
What?
Bear, you look like you're cooking something over there. You
It has
my problem is there's something nagging at the back of my head, but I'm having that thing where I can't visualize what's nagging at the back of my head because this is ringing a bell and it's really annoying me because I swear I've seen this card.
Usually when the text box on the card starts with something like really stupid like this, it's normally because it's got a really long text effect and they're cutting word count. So, like, for example, Sally is like worded really weird for this exact same reasons. Like, target unit is retreated if it's aircraft, is whatever if infantry.
Yeah.
So this has to be something a lot of text, I would imagine.
Yeah, Cards has a pretty hard, fast rule they like to stick to where
Four lines.
Yeah, no more than 3 lines, and that has led to some absolute horrendous crimes to the English language.
Easy parsable text. Is. This is gonna bother me. Is it in standard or is it classic?
I can give you this hint. It is currently rotated. However, I can also say, well, let me verify that this is true. Bear will have definitely played the game while this was in standard. I'm unsure if you have, Core. That will give you a hint of when it was rotated.
Pre-Blood and Iron, I'm assuming?
I'm assuming you guys don't have a good memory of when what was rotated when, so yeah, I will just say it was rotated when the Blood and Iron expansion dropped.
Okay, so it was with Blood and Iron. Okay. Or, well, it was rotated by the time Blood and Iron came out. Okay. Well, I have no knowledge of anything, like any of the rotation lists United Fronts.
Yeah, you also don't necessarily have to name the card. If you want to just take a guess at what the sentence is, or like just the context that is being used in, I will give points for that.
It's definitely going to be to do with like, it's like it's going to do with like board position or like whether or not you control something else. Like, is X if you X kind of effect.
It's really annoying me because I have an irritating feeling it's not quite that clear. I don't think it's that clear cut. I think this is one of those cards that I can't remember it to save my life, but I have a feeling this is one of those cards that I'm aware of because the first time I read it, it just irritated me because of how much of a travesty to the English language it was.
So if you guys
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. Is a tank if you control something else? I feel like that was a line of text they put on something. Because
you're saying like the unit is also considered a tank type.
If X condition is met or whatever.
That is close to a card that exists.
Yeah, I feel like I read that. I'm just gonna go with that. That's the best I got.
All right, fair. Do you have an answer?
Oh, I'm gonna be wrong, but I have a feeling this is something... I don't have an answer on the card, but I have a feeling this is something along the lines of... is added to or is moved to...
Oh, is this the
front
bloody...
line?
Is this the
X, but...
Is this the bloody German tank, the Befelswagen or whatever it's called? Is added to the front line when you take it?
Alright, so if y'all ready, I will slowly start to...
I am ready to be really, really irritated by the fact that I know this card. Yeah, go for it.
Alright, so I will first say the wording on Befelswagen is if this unit is in hand at it. There's a lot of ifs. There's only one is. You said it might be because it has too much text. There is only 7 words. It is barely 2 lines. Only the 7th word hits the 2nd line. They had all the space in the world for this.
I'm saying it. I am saying it because I said it. I have a feeling this is one of those that I can't stand because it's a travesty, but go for it.
It is the key 100 Goshi Kisen is immune to damage on your turn.
Yeah, this is the 6'5" fighter, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Actually, I was looking at this earlier today.
There was a point at this was at one point a really keystone card in competitive decks running Japan because it gave you some incredibly useful answers.
It was also immune to SSCD because it can't take the supply shortage
damage
damage.
on your turn. Yeah.
Yeah, you would just play this.
Yep.
If Goshikisen hit the board against Britain-Japan control, they literally just lost the game. There was no card in their deck that killed it, and it was immune to their only thing. It was great. Yeah, Goshikisen is immune to damage on your turn. I don't know why they worded it this way. They could just say... Because there was a point where they wanted to remove a lot of cards that repeated their name in the card. So, like, the equivalent... I don't think Goshikisen ever had this text, but it would be the equivalent of it saying, Key 100 Goshikisen is immune to damage on your turn. And they were like, well, obviously that's an issue. I don't know why they couldn't have replaced it with, this unit is immune.
No, see, this is why I'm pretty sure I do remember this as being a card I looked at from an English point of view as a writer and thinking, there is a better way to start this sentence.
Yeah, and I mean, the issue of, like, cards, how to word things in cards is a very interesting one. That transcends games. I'm sure this issue comes up all the time, especially with, like, Magic, where they're kind of like the first people doing things. I've seen some old, like, original Magic cards, and, like, they're just absolutely horrendous way of wording things that are so standard now in card games.
Yeah,
So
if you've ever
something-
read in, like, the original printing of, like, Oubliette.
I was going to say, Oubliette's a good example, but because it's probably before both of your times, and in one case, possibly both of your cases, it might even be before you were born, look up the Star Wars trade. I think it's the TCG. If you ever want to see what... No, it's the CCG, it's the collectible version. Anyway, go look it up if you ever want to find what truly bad. If you ever feel like you want to complain about some of the amount of text we get on cards nowadays, there are seriously cards in that game where the text is more than 2/3 of the card.
Yeah, I'm finding some of these on Google Images, and they're...
the Darth Vaders.
I will say it is a very cool game because it's the only game I have ever played in which my opponent can be building up a military occupation force while I win the game by moisture farming. And I'm not kidding. You can build a moisture farming deck. Anyway, but yeah, no, cards...
I guess that's the thing with physical card games is with like a CC, like an online CCG, just have the game do it for you, and you're like, it works the way it worked, and I can complain about it if it doesn't work the way I want it to, but there's something making it work a specific way, in theory, all the time. But I guess with like a physical CCG, you run into the issue of, do you want a card that is like 2 paragraphs long, or do you want to require having to go to like the official wiki statements of the producers like every 4 minutes playing a game because you have no idea how 2 things work interacting with each other?
I love how you start referencing things like this came up when I was talking to Core the other day, I think while I was on stream. I was briefly a DCI judge. Before the existence of your mighty internet, people like me were at tournaments specifically for this.
Yeah, did you guys have like
you
magazines that would like Magic magazines that would like mention specific like official rulings on like common card interactions and stuff, right?
Yeah, and we actually had to, DCI judges, we actually had to pass really quite grueling tests of our card knowledge. And some of the questions are on the line of, I suspect, some of your later questions, because we were asked to make rulings that might or might not make the difference between whether someone's getting funded by their sponsor or an organization to go to another country for a world championship. And we were doing it without the benefit of the internet. We just had to know the game. And you start to realize how important the difference between a comma and a hyphen is, and a full stop, and when a sentence is giving you what we called magic words. However, fun fact for those who'd like to know moments that Bear feels a little bit bad about, I was at one point legitimately complained about, and worthily, the person was right. I took my warning. I was given an official warning for the fact that I was called up to make a judgment in the middle of a very busy tournament. And because I was in a cranky mood, and it was a very, very clear and obvious thing where all you had to do was read the sentence, I actually wrote RTFC on
read the fucking
card
card.
and handed it to someone, and they did complain about me. And if you are that player and for some reason you're looking at, I am sorry, I should never have done it, you legitimately should have complained about my behavior, I was having a bad day and being a bit of an arse. But yeah, that is one of the places that RTFC comes from, because you really had to learn reading and comprehension if you wanted to be a competitive Magic player, because you needed to know how to parse text effectively. Nowadays, you're absolutely right. It's fantastic to have the game do it for you, except, see, I have a point that is related to cards here, and it irks me. At some point, 1939, please decide an order of operations. Create a timing chart, make a nice graphic of it, and publicize it. Because it annoys me no end. It's one of the few things that annoys me no end about this game that I love, is how there is no timing chart because the timings aren't consistent.
Yeah, it's like the thing with like 1, 2, 3s and Bergman, for example. That was apparently fixed, but it wasn't.
Yeah. That.
You have like the timings then between like Panzer 4H, the veteran trigger, and then like the contest doctrine buff, and then you have the Marines, the US Marines, and the veteran trigger with like USS Fitch.
Yep.
Yeah, the
It's like, it's very consistent.
in the very first ever OCC, in the finals, in I think Game 5, there was one player had a Sendai regiment with a really big unit targeted. You know Sendai regiment, right? It's like Kyoto regiment, the same things. So they had a Sendai regiment in the front line, and there's a very big unit underneath it. And the opponent on the other side of the board had 4 units in their support line, and they traded one of the units away into the Sendai, so they both died. And the unit coming back off the Sendai did not come back because it triggered before the other unit's death resolved. Which is just how it worked. But the thing was, is it wasn't based on when the units hit the board. It wasn't based on like it wasn't just a hard fast rule. It was literally random. The game would randomly decide whether you got the unit back or not. And it took that happening in the finals of their first tournament to fix it, and just like I forgot what the rule. I think it now always comes back in that situation, but
Mostly
the return like triggers after all the combat's resolved.
Yeah.
So.
But
I'm specifically, this is what reminded me was J King's question and note about magazines and stuff. One of the things that we did as DCI judges always have on us was a physically printed like crop book. And one of the things that was eternally in there was a regularly updated timing chart, and it was sacrosanct. There were no exceptions ever. The first thing you did was resolve the timing chart, then you resolved the stack, because that was the only way the game worked.
Yeah. In cards, the one that's the thing with the online card games, though, is just because it usually always works the same way doesn't necessarily mean that was like intended by the actual game developers. It might have just been like coded that way accidentally by somebody who does not know what the like official ruling on how it should work is, and the one that comes to mind is this is a bit this would be before your time, Core. Although it's kind of back now, it's not that good. And I don't know if you would have played with this bear, but Soviet self damage. So the 34th guards, the 7 cost 6/6 reduces cost by 2 every time your HQ takes damage from one of your cards. If you played Bloody Sickle and it drew into 34th guards, it would reduce the cost by 2.
Yes.
And that was just how it worked, and that's how it worked for like 8 months of self-damage being a tournament competitive deck. And then they decided self-damage was too good, so they did a series of nerfs. 34th guards used to be 6 credits, that's not that important. And then it was still playable, but much weaker. And then headed down into the World Championship, they were like, well, we're not going to do any more balance changes to shake stuff up, but we are going to do a bug fix. And the bug fix was, well, now it will no longer reduce its cost if you draw it off a Bloody Sickle, and their argument was there's a period, it's deal 1 damage to a unit and your HQ, period, draw a card. So they argued that the HQ damage is resolved, and then you draw it into your hand. But they didn't change that with Wellington, which has the absolutely wonderful English sentence of, if in your hand this unit costs 2 less each time you give an order, which implies it has to be in your hand when you are playing the order, but if you draw it off of Convoy, it would get its cost reduced still after that. And they were like, well, that's... And I remember bringing it up and being like, okay, well, if you're going to change the 34th Guard Sickle interaction, surely that would necessitate changing the Wellington Convoy interaction, because Air was a very popular deck, and that was an interaction that happened a lot more often than the Sickle interaction. And they were like, well, no, that's intended to work that way. And it's like, okay.
So, no, you don't understand. The Wellington thing is sexy. We just don't like the Soviet thing.
Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, I present to you the following sentence. Do you know what fixes this problem? Absolutely. A timing chart.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll let you carry on, Sid.
Yeah.
Old man shakes fist at sky rant over.
Yeah, I mean, we went in a very different direction.
When...
Than that. I originally thought that we were going to talk about just like shortening things or some of the weird sentences, but yeah, no, we went in a totally different direction. And that is totally fine. To keep us on track, though, let's get on to question 4. Of, again, part 1, the easiest part. Again, can't look at collection. We're almost done with the collection questions, though. Order the nations from least to most total number of 0 credit cards. And this is, and this one, to be clear, I'm not trying to trick you on this one. This is including rarity. So if a standard would be 4 cards, a limited would be 3 cards. And so on and so forth. So it's not the unique card, it's the actual number in a full collection.
The actual number of physical cards that would be in your collection if you owned the things.
Yes. And the points, the correct answer, the most points will be going out for full, classic, and standard. But if you give me the correct answer for just standard, I might give you pity points.
Okay, so... Let me think now. I know for a fact we have... This is all nations, not just main nations, correct?
Yes, all nations.
Okay. Let me think. So, I can definitely tell you like standard for the most part. There's going to be cards from before my time, although like I know a handful from before my time because I was playing with them recently. So I know for a fact there's at least 4 in Soviet in Classic. That's the 0 cost 0 up 1/1 Blitzer.
Okay.
There is 4 in US right now in Standard. That's 4 copies of Duress. There is 4 copies of Imperial Decree in Japan. There is 3 copies of Sally in France. And 4 copies of Dragons. So that's 7 in France right now. Italy has Convoy. Convoy.
Yes, it does.
Yes, J. King's favorite card. I've seen the clip. So that's 4 in Italy, for sure. Mare Nostrum is 1. I feel like it's only that in Italy. Finland has no 0 cost. Poland has also no zero cost, I want to say.
Yeah.
France, Italy. So hold on, France, Italy.
Yeah, you've covered all
Poland,
the minor nations.
that's all the minor. So right now we have France number 1.
Yes.
The ones you
Then
haven't
we have-
mentioned are Germany and Britain.
So Britain, I don't recall any. Oh no, they have the para regiment, the parachute guys. They're also a standard, I believe. So those are like another 4. Like they're zero cost with mobilize, I think. So that's also 4. I can't think of any other in Britain. Germany, I also can't think of like any. Oh, Japan, 4 copies of Duggan.
Yep.
That's 8 for Japan, 7 France, and then like I think like 4 nations are tied on 4.
Yeah, you have Soviet, USA, Italy, Britain on 4, is what you have now.
That's all I can think of.
All right.
If there is any more to add to that.
I'm going through. I'm attempting to go through my knowledge of Classic here to make sure I'm not missing anything, because I'm with you on. I think you've gotten everything in Standard. I am fairly confident that currently Japan has the most zero cost cards total in the game. It's whether there is. Oh God. Soviets are weird. And Germany has the. Do not forget that Germany has the zero cost. Is it? Yeah, it's German zero cost countermeasure that suppresses a target when deployed.
Oh God, yeah, countermeasures. I forgot countermeasures. Oh my God.
There you go. And that's where I am right now.
So yeah,
Because,
hit the drop point. Hit the drop point
Yep.
3. You have evasive action or evasive maneuvers in
Action,
Britain.
yep.
That's 4 copies. I know there's like another like 2 zero cost countermeasures. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, in my head at the minute, it's Japan. These 2 I'm not so sure of, but I think it's Japan, France, Soviet. Then I think it's Germany, Britain.
No.
No,
I think
Germany's no.
It's-
Britain's because of the standards. It's going to be Britain, Germany.
So I can go like reverse order right now. I know for a fact Poland and Finland are like tied last with 0. I'm like 90%. Then Germany, I think, is like second to last with 3, because hit the drop point. I think it's a limited, so there's only 3 copies of that. I can't think of anything else. Then we have I can only think of like Soviet, the 4 from Soviet, the Blitz guys. There might be more that I'm missing. And then we have like Italy as well with convoy attack, because I'm pretty sure Colonial Dreams is 1 cost or whatever it's called. The if you control units, and I'm pretty sure it's
Quick aside, that card got released at 2 credits. Anyways, continue.
crazy. Half the price, still unplayable. That's all I can think of. I think it's. I think it's Japan, because lure is like 1 cost, I think, right? Or is it 2 cost?
Lure's not 0, is the thing.
Yeah. I feel like there's another zero credit countermeasure that like affects deployments.
No.
I
Doing
feel
my
like
head
there's
in.
I
Have
just
I ever
can't think.
mentioned how much I love you, James?
I've been grinning this entire time. They can't see me, but yeah.
We're not looking at each other's faces, which is probably good for me at the minute, because I imagine someone's got a
I have
smug
OBS
face
open,
on, right?
so I can see all of you guys through all of this. It's very fun.
One, two, three.
Like now, to be fair, I get a little bit of slack for having very limited knowledge.
Yeah, the thing is, though, considering the exalted circles in which I have meandered, I and the things that I have done, I really should know this better than I do.
Aerial recon is also 1K. I
Yeah.
feel like there's one more British card that I'm forgetting. I'm going to say Britain is first. I can't think exactly how many. I know it's at least 8. Then Japan, then France, then Soviet, then Italy, Germany.
But I'm gonna let Core go. I have
Finland.
locked for good
right.
or bad. I have locked my answers in on Discord so that Core can continue thinking without me interfering.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock
pretty
that in.
sure-
And have I missed any nation there?
Nope, you have everything. You have Britain, Japan, France,
Okay.
Soviet, Italy, Germany, Poland, Finland. No, actually, you missed USA.
You missed the US, but yeah. So
They're tied with Italy.
All right.
I have slightly different, but probably not far off. So I think it's Britain, Japan, France, Soviet, Italy, Germany, US, and then Finland and Poland are tied at being not relevant in this conversation.
So your guys' only difference is Bear has US with fewer than Germany.
Yes,
That's-
I'm gonna be wrong, but that's
All right.
that's where I'm at the minute.
I will say the question was from least to most, not most to least, but that's fine. I will be deducting points from everybody. No.
Yeah, and I'd like we're keeping score, but feel free to reverse it.
So I will say immediately that you guys forgot 4 cards from Standard before even getting into the classic stuff. So let's see how much that...
Miss?
How unplayable are they?
Honestly, they're not that unplayable. So let's just get into the numbers here. So from least is Finland with 0. Then Poland and Italy are tied on 4 each. Germany is with 7, US 8, Britain 11, and then Soviet, Japan, and France are all tied at 12. And I believe that I might have gotten that wrong. Actually, reading that now, is that wrong?
Yes, it is because stubborn
France.
defense.
Yeah.
Poland. No, that's correct. Yes.
Wait. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
To be fair,
I
Poland is-
think you're right.
Yes, I think
Thank
it's
God,
yeah.
this is an annoying question.
I think where I'm wrong is France. I got the rarities wrong on France.
Oh, no retreat. I thought no retreat was 1 credit. Fuck.
Yeah, so France is actually 10. So it actually goes Finland, Poland, Italy, Germany, US, France, Britain, Soviet, Japan.
France, Soviet, Japan.
Yeah, Chasing Shadows. Forgot about Chasing. And it's funny because I was actually playing Chasing Shadows in like US France with Sykes and regulars.
Yeah. When you
You-
said
you think- you
Poland
think-
has 0, and then you were like, evasive action, there's 0 cost countermeasures. I was so sure that you guys were going to circle back to that.
Oh, completely forgot.
I totally and utterly forgot that. I will say, I feel bad because I spent
Someone
a
forgot
large
you,
chunk of the
Space.
time.
Yeah.
I forgot Chasing Shadows, and I hit Field Marshal on a Chasing Shadows Germany France ambush deck.
So even though I got it wrong, so I'll actually just give you both a point, even though neither of you were remotely close.
No, that was terrible. That was legitimately bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could have sworn no retreat was 1 credit.
No retreat, 0 credits. Fun fact, no retreat used to be 0 credits, destroy a friendly unit, gain HQ defense equal to that unit's health. It was
Sure.
bad. Um, the very first time I ever streamed any content for cards, I like opened up the stream and I'm like, hey guys, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing. What do you guys want me to do? Throw out a card and I'll build a deck around it. And someone said no retreat.
Oh God.
And I built a no retreat Commonwealth deck where I just tried to get a unit with more than 10 health that I could no retreat Commonwealth in the same turn.
Yeah.
It was very silly.
Oh,
But anyways,
God, I feel bad about that.
zero cost cards are. I feel like this is kind of true across card games where
Yes.
designing cards that are free is so difficult because free is so. It is infinitely better than one.
Yes. Literally.
Yep. So there is a really interesting, and I cannot remember for the life of me who wrote it, but there was a design thesis in which free was marked as one of the deadly sins of design. Like, it's the moment you see anything that has free on it, you actually have to spend more time evaluating it than you do evaluating anything else in your game. Because if it's free, it can because it free always bleeds into someone will find a way to recur it, which will create an infinite loop, and those are the things that designers hate.
I was
Yeah.
I come back to like I don't play Hearthstone particularly anymore, but every once in a while I'll like watch a Hearthstone tournament. And in the base set of Hearthstone, there is a neutral called Wisp.
Interface? No? Oh, Wisp.
Wisp.
Oh, God, yeah.
It is a
Yeah.
zero credit, zero cost, 1/1, no additional tax. It's a zero credit 1/1 vanilla unit. That like in classic and all of the time I played the game, everyone just looked at it and was like, "This card's terrible." Like people tried it out in a very aggressive board dump deck, and they were like, "Eh, it's not even good in this." I opened up the Hearthstone like Summer Masters Tour 2025. It's like 11 years down the line, and Wisp was in one of the best performing decks of the tournament.
In Wild, there is an entire Zoolock built around zero costs. There's like the Penguin, they've got the Murloc, Tiny Fin, they've got the Wisps, the whole, one of the best decks in Wild as well, I'm pretty sure, at some point.
Yeah,
But
and-
also like Innovate.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Innovate, for people who are not Hearthstone pilled, was a 0 credit, gain 2 credits this turn. It was,
Yes.
yeah.
the classic turn one Innovate, Chillwind Yeti.
Yeah, you just
Yep.
like, yeah, that just won games.
Yeah.
Every like 8 or so months, I just like have the thought of like there has to be a broken deck in cards using 0 cost cards. Like every like 8 months or so, I just go into my collection and I just hit 0 credits, and I'm like, okay, there's something broken here. I need to figure it out. This is like some sleeper deck that we've all missed that just uses some combination of 0 cost cards to break the game. And it's funny that we're living through it now with like Dragons and Duggan being 2 cards run typically 4 of in probably the best deck in the game. And there's not really been a point where Duggan and Dragons weren't considered really good. Like, they weren't necessarily, like, tier 1 in meta decks, but those ones are, like, very clearly powerful zero-cost cards. Similar to Duress, where it's, people have, like, recognized Duress is really good. But there's some zero-cost cards in here that are, like, could they be good? Like, Stubborn Defense. 0 credit, draw a card, in theory. Well buffing a unit.
Yeah, it's a weird one because actually it's almost one of the things that I've actually had the most surprise and respect for in cards design has been how little I have seen 0 as a cost being exploitable. Like,
obviously
even
huge asterisks for war production.
Yes, I was about to get there because there is one notable exception, which is a card that like war production, and particularly war production and the German stupid ass fighter. I can never remember its name. The German rocket fighter.
Jet prototype.
The jet proto. Like that that was the closest we have gotten to truly ridiculous in card design, because anything that's zero cost and has anything to do with cost is probably a bad plan. Zero cost and economy probably shouldn't be in the same place.
My hot take is, if you guys open up the collection and search up Reorganize, it's a reserved card.
Oh god, yeah.
My hot take is we should just like delete Duggan from the game and bring back Reorganize.
Yeah.
Like that's a much better zero. Like if all of their zero cost shuffle triggers were that, I'd be much happier.
Go -1. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I did say when myself and Bear did the card review, when we were talking about Sally, I did mention that like when it comes to zero cost cards, you always have to give them you have to look at them a little bit differently because they're so splashable, they're so easy to play. Now we are looking at this for the most part, and having played cards for the last little while, the majority of the zero costs in the game are like pretty well balanced. I mean, you mentioned dragons like not slotting into like tier 1, but when dragons released, it did slot directly into the best deck in the format, which was Germany France mid-range at the time, and again arguably it's in one of the better decks in the format right now in the form of shuffle. Just a free body on turn 1 is like ludicrously powerful. I mean, I think if 554th was in the game currently, I think you would be seeing a ton of play with how powerful like Soviet aggro has gotten. Turn 1 554th turn like into comb is so ridiculous on turn 1. I had done tests with Soviet France as a potential aggro deck, but that fell off pretty quickly. And I would say,
can you tell? I was going to say, can you tell that Core didn't live through war production by 54th?
No, luckily I didn't have to play through Cards version of Innovate. That's
well,
nice.
I'll even not age you, but I'll at least put war production was much a scary card well before Jet prototype, because war production used to be played in the best deck in the format that went through 3 rounds of nerfs to really kill off the deck, because supply chain used to not have a minimum of 1. The card supply chain, which is draw a card, and this gets discarded, add 2, and reduce the cost by 1. So you would play 4 supply chain, 4 war production, and 3 lesser of 2 evils. So war production was 0 credits, gain 2 credits, draw 4 cards.
just infinite card economy.
Yeah, and one of those 4 cards would be a second war production. So it's like it's turn 1, you've played like 17 cards and have like 7 credits worth of cards on board and an 8 card hand, and your opponent would surrender.
Jesus Christ.
War production has done some fairly crazy things in the past. But that's because anything that works that way is going to do
I see why they designed war production the way that they did, where it's like, okay, obviously Innervate was an issue card. It's Black Lotus and Magic is like the equivalent, right? And like obviously these are very clearly problem cards, which just a card that immediately gives you just extra credits immediately at no cost very early on to the game. That's a problem. So I see what they were doing, where they're like, okay, it's an order and it discards all your orders, so like you can't stack multiple in the same hand, and it like actively makes your deck worse. You have to build your entire deck around it, and then you still risk like breaking and hitting like a triple war production start, and you're just down 3 cards. I see why they thought they could make it a card, but I also see why that card existing in any card game will find a way to break it once you just add enough cards to the game.
See, the problem is, with my designer hat on, I'm afraid I can't cut them the slack, because any good designer should have a decent knowledge of hypergeometrics. And that means that you already know that that's not a good balancing point, because statistics don't land without clumping, and it's going to swing. It might brick is a terrible design logic, just to be clear, for those who want to hear proper design rants.
It's why we don't see Convoy attack in every deck. Convoy 0 credits, deal 2 damage. That's a crazy card. You don't get a better rate of damage to credits than that.
That is very true. Well, I mean,
do not
technically, technically Duggan guaranteed one is pretty good.
Hey,
Yes.
convoy attack can hit face. You can Bismarck your opponent on turn one.
So, I have to say, and people are going to hate me for this, in all seriousness, I think the only thing that has made convoy attack not find a point at which it suddenly became a problem is the fact that it lives in an allied nation that has no other useful support for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
If convoy attack was, God forbid, a Japan card, it would see a ton of play printed as is.
I think the main limiting factor for zero credit cards in cards is there's not existed there's been very few decks in cards history that have had access to functionally like their entire deck. Just like, oh, I have my access to my entire deck by like turn 10. And the decks that have been able to do that have been typically very, very bad, and the zero credit cards wouldn't particularly help those decks in what they're trying to do, because it would be like, I'm trying to deck myself to hit like a specific combination of cards that kill my opponent. So like, obviously war production, where it's just like, you just play that because you gain 2 credits immediately, and that's insane. But most of the zero credit cards are very difficult to... It's high tempo, but it's very difficult to make up the loss of the card in your hand, and there's just like not the draw for it. Because like something like, say, Imperial Decree. Imperial Decree is just like, in theory, a really powerful card for like a Japanese control deck, where you're playing Torators, you're playing Destro Measures, maybe you're playing like Attack of the Colonies or something, and it's just 0 credits, deal 1 extra damage, and it can target AoEs, it can make clears easier. That's like, in theory, really good, but the only time it's ever been run in a control deck was Japan-France, because they had a 5 credit draw 9 cards. And it's like, okay, well, you can run a lot of 0 cost cards if you run 5 credits, draw 9. But if you're just basically relying on stuff like 61st to go like to replace itself in your hand, and then natural draw, and then like maybe 1 or 2 like draw 2 cards to go up +1, you can't run 0 cost cards in that type of deck unless they are game winning.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so like, it's ironic because earlier on today, while testing the straight Japan burn deck with Frank in it as ammunition that's going around at the moment, I actually got the God Hand moment where my opponent, I can't remember, they were either on Germany or Soviet control, and they had like 8 or 9 cards in hand, and I had basically nothing but, they had a board, and I had nothing but Tora and Enigma in hand, and I God drew into my full set of Imperial Decree. That's the point. It's like, that's happened to me like once testing the damn thing. The rest of the time it's a bit of extra ping damage here, and it's only good because you're literally like high rolling on burning HQ. I think, yeah, it's fair to say that Cards has done a pretty decent job of not making 0 credit cards or 0 cost cards bad, but making 0 cost cards awkward by design.
Yeah.
And that's healthy. And is actually, by the way, the big difference between Dragons and 554th is Dragons has a piece of text on it that makes the card at least awkward to play, whereas 554th in its is just insane. Yes, it's 1/1. I don't care. It's free with no limitation as a standard with no op cost and blitz.
Yeah, and that's like the thing with Dragons is like very clearly it's had a bigger impact on the game. It's been played in 2 tier 1 decks, and it's only been in the game for like 6 months. And 554th never really saw any serious constructed play. Like, people brought it occasionally to tournaments and just like a throw everything into the frontline blitzkrieg type deck. So like Dragons is almost certainly the more playable card. Like, even if 554th was back now, I think Dragons would still be better. However, Dragons is also just like the much better designed card because it's safer. There is the wording on it that is like you can't go too nuts with it. It's an incredible card on its own, but you can't like go too crazy on it. And I think that's just important on any zero cost card. It's like obviously War Production is the best zero cost card ever printed, and it was problematic. And if it ever comes back, it needs to be changed. But it does have the same type of Dragons thing where it's like in theory you can't play two of these in the same turn.
Yeah. It adds some awkwardness, but yeah.
I also
anyway, we should probably move on.
Yeah, before we move on, I want to bring up a point of discussion. How do you guys feel about zero cost countermeasures? Because there's a handful that have seen play. Like Evasive Action saw a little bit of play, and Hit the Drop Point is a fairly common pick off of the off-clung that develops countermeasures. So they're not like meta warping by any means, but like personally, fundamentally, I kind of dislike the design choice of ever printing any zero cost countermeasure. Like I find having countermeasures cost 0 for a turn or like activate them for free from another card.
So I'm going to go first for two reasons. One, I'm on record about this and have had some loud noises. I think there might still be a video up about this. And two, it'll give me a moment while Cole gives his opinions to nip for a quick bathroom break. But yeah, I've been on record as saying this. I personally, from a designer point of view, not as a card game player, but as someone who's done design work in tabletop gaming, fundamentally object to, I think, zero cost countermeasures run contrary to the design intent of countermeasures. The whole point of countermeasures is to create a resource that your opponent has access to, and you know your opponent has access to, but that has effectively an inbuilt tell. That's why the credit counter is useful in the game. That's why like zero cost countermeasures are not only at risk of being overpowered, but they also remove the power of bluffing. And that is, to me, what makes countermeasures interesting. So, yeah, honestly, I personally would like to see zero-cost countermeasures rotated, and then it just made clear that we'll never print a countermeasure that doesn't have a credit cost.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in full agreement with that.
Yeah,
it's very annoying when your opponent plays out the turn, they go to zero credits, you're like, cool, they can't represent anything here, and then you randomly get got by like an evasive action and you lose the game because of it. It's like, well, how, like, there's zero tell. This is a one of in their deck that they're randomly playing. How am I supposed to play around that, you know? At least with like things like Ultra or with like, say, like a Bridge Too Far or whatever, there's a clear indication that there might be something. Whereas like randomly getting got by like evasive action or randomly getting got, like you play Comet, go for lethal, you randomly get hit the drop pointed. It just feels bad is the big thing. It's just a really feels bad moment of like, oh, well, I guess I just lose.
Like, they could buff all of the zero-cost countermeasures to the point where, like, they start seeing serious play, and I would prefer that than there being, like, a zero-cost countermeasure I see 1 in 100 ranked games. I would rather see all of them see, like, consistent play, if they cost 1. Like, just hit draw a card on, like, evasive action and hit the drop point, and, like, people are probably going to play it, or at least try them out. But you see you're able to see it, because, yeah, as Bear was saying, and you were saying, Core, just, like, fundamentally, it is, countermeasures are supposed to be, something that you have, like, slight information on. Like, you know there's the possibility of it, and if it's zero cost, it is the possibility of it every single turn from turn 1 to the end of the game if they have a card in hand and have one of the nations that have zero cost countermeasures, which is several.
I mean, so I did get asked by a newer player in private about Hit the Drop Point because they were playing a lot of kind of cards that did stuff, and they were having a hard time with it. And I literally, because I've been on record as saying countermeasures aren't great a lot of the time at upper ends of the game because good players will play around them, and they're like, well, all right, how do you play around hit the drop point. And I'm like, well, one, I can only give you so much of an answer because I don't see a card that often. But also, it's a zero-cost countermeasure. You can't. Like, it is just, it's an and/or gate. You can't play around a zero-cost countermeasure, which defeats the point.
That's honestly, this is one of those things that one of these skills that you develop if you the way cards competitive is set up, where it's always rewarded ladder grinding. So if you grind ladder and you have to be looking for every single thing that can increase your win rate, it leads to you playing around every single countermeasure, even if you've seen it like once 4 years ago. If you have the ability to play, like, I'm not talking about like warping and being like, oh, they might have hit the drop point, so I'm not going to play Comet to kill them this turn if it's the only card in my hand. Obviously, you just take that risk. But if it's like, oh, okay, they're 100% dead, I push up 35T and I kill them. But they're like Soviet Britain ally, and I have another unit I can push up first in case they just randomly have unexpected resistance to destroy a blitz unit.
Yeah.
And that's just I have been played, like, I have been burned by these countermeasures so much that, like, I still play around hit the drop point, or sorry, I still play around unexpected resistance. It has been rotated for like a year and a half, and I still play around it in standard if I have the ability to.
And that's part of the problem, is that again, that's the risk of the zero-cost countermeasure. It can breed an unhealthy habit because you don't have, like Cole was saying, the indicator. The indicator is the key thing to me that makes it interesting, because the indicator also gives you the ability to bluff. Last week I won a game, and I only won the game because I deliberately passed with 3 credits in hand on Brit Main, and my opponent, who was running Germany, was running Germany, and their only win con at the time was Bismarck, had to pass the turn because they wouldn't risk the win con.
Yeah.
And I had the win in hand. That's what makes countermeasures interesting. As soon as it costs 0... it's not interesting, it's just annoying.
Yeah, like with zero cost, it's a really dumb way to think about it, but it's how I end up thinking about it a lot of time. It's because they're zero cost, it's a 50-50. It's like they have it or they don't. It becomes very like either they do or they don't, or I win or I lose. It's kind of it's not a design space that should really be occupied by countermeasures. Like when you look at other games like Magic, for example, leaving mana open is a key part of the game. If you're playing against a blue player and they leave 2 blue untapped, you're like, well, they probably have counterspell then. I mean, force of will and all that notwithstanding. Yeah. But like, there's clear indication of your opponent's potential instant speed counterplay. But like when it's zero cost, it's just you can't. There's no feasible way of playing around it.
Yeah, and especially with something like hit the drop point, where just the way the patterns that it's seen play in is like they play off long on turn 2. They're playing against a faster deck, so they pick the zero cost thing and hold it up immediately, and then it goes to your turn 2, and it's like you have a 2-drop. You're just gonna play it. You're not gonna play off curve to play around like the 1 and 3 that they developed randomly into the zero cost countermeasure. You can't feasibly play around it on turn 2. Like if you are on like turn 12 and you're like, okay, I'll play like the smaller unit first because it's worse. Like I'm gonna play 2 units this turn, and this one is less bad if it gets hit by hit the drop point. I'll play around it then. But like, yeah, if it's turn 2, it's like you literally have one play, and like if it gets hit by hit the drop point, it just feels bad, man.
Yeah, at least with the cards that like activate them at the end of turn or whatever. At least there is like you're aware that there is potentially something being activated in a hand, and that gives you a bit of a heads up, so it's not nearly as bad. Like that's fine. At least again, you're given information by the card they have just played. But yeah, it's. I mean, even like you said there, like with hit the drum point being developed off Aufklärung, for a period at the end of like United Fronts, people were just playing like one copy of Hit the Drop Point in their deck.
Yeah.
It was just a one-of because Comet was so prevalent.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's move on We are past the 2-hour mark on the recording, by the way. So I'm thinking now that I will probably use the 3 parts and just put this as like episode 1, part 1, episode 1, part 2.
Yeah.
And split up the video. If any of you guys need to go grab food, bathroom break, grab water, whatever it is, feel free. Just let me know. Drop it. Either say it and we'll cut it out, or drop it in the Discord. All good. But let's get on to question 5, the last question that you are not going to have access to your collection for. That's going to be, name 4 of the 6 cards that have parentheses on the card. I'm being nice to you guys. 4 out of 6. And I'm telling you the number that there are. And you only have to name 4 of them.
Oh, God.
And for anybody watching, before you go to like Google parentheses, it's just the brackets. It's
brackets.
Yeah, it's just the round brackets.
I have to say, the writer in me, thank you for using the word parentheses. They're not brackets. Wrong shape. But
That have
yeah.
I cannot think of a single one. The only time I can think of like parentheses is when a card is tracking, like Uprising, for example. It tracks the amount of Polish units that have died. It's in parentheses how many.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I had not thought about that, but I am talking about on just the printed one that you see in your collection. But that is a very good point.
Yeah,
I will give you a bonus point for that.
Yeah, that's fair. But, yeah, I sort of assumed that you mean the ones, because I know that there are some that actually have it in the card text.
I can't think of a single one.
I will say 5 out of 6 are in standard. And
God!
I think the one that got rotated after Blood and Iron. So, you guys all know 5 of these for sure, and I think you would all know 6. You guys know all
how
6.
playable are they?
I am confident that you will have seen all 6 of these be played before.
Yeah, I was... Oh, God. So...
just the look on the webcams here is great. Corey, you look like you're about to cry, and Bear has just his entire head in his hand.
So, for anyone who's wondering why I keep like looking down and gripping at myself and stuff, I'm attempting to. One of the ways that I access my memory, thanks to like, mental issues, is visual memory linking. And I can visualize cards. Now the problem I'm having is what the damn name of them is. Because I know they're out there. And I knew when you asked the question they were out there. But now I'm having the problem of I can't visualize the card.
I can name one for sure.
Okay.
And I'm...
Oh, Corey's playing to win. He's not going to tell you now. You gotta do it.
That's good.
At least I think I know one. But I'm pretty sure it has parentheses in it.
I'll give you guys another big hint. They come in 3 different like contexts.
Nations.
It's being used in 3 different ways. Like yeah, so there's...
Well, I'll tell you one. It's Panzer 35T. I'm pretty sure the T is in parentheses, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct, it is. Panzer 35T is in... So is Panzer 38T. Because that's the correct military... I'm going to feel like an idiot if I'm wrong.
I feel like 35... Is it 35T? The Jaguar one. The 2 costs.
Yeah, it is. It's the one it's the 35T. You are it's the 38T that I'm wondering whether I'm wrong about or not, but I can't.
That is the
clearly the frustrating part is what I really want to do is reach and check, but I can't do that, so that's fine.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure the 38T. I'm pretty sure that's the 2/3 draw card. I think that's also parenthesis.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain they both are.
So he said it's what, like three? They're parenthesized in like three different ways. So like that'd be name, I'm guessing, and then like effect text, and then something else. Maybe.
So it's more that there's like just the place, like there's two that are using it in the same way. And then there's a few, like basically the contents of the parentheses. There's three different contents of the parentheses, I suppose would be like the better way of.
Okay, well that just means that I think the two panzers are correct. I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
The more I blink, the more I'm 95% certain that yes, both of those are. What I'm struggling with is there a third one? But I don't think so.
No.
I think there's only the two panzers that do
the rest of the panzers are hyphenated. I'm like 90% sure.
Yeah.
Like 3H, 3F, they're all hyphen.
Yeah. Soviet. Is it Soviet? As a card has a large block of text, and a good chunk of that text is in the parentheses. I can't remember what the card's called, which is really annoying.
You know what the card text is?
Something to do with additional. It's additional effects, like I swear it's one of the, when you play this card, add something, and then there's a brackets, and it's about what you can and can't get. Is it one of the bomber things? It's not Bomber Mafia, because Bomber Mafia doesn't have parentheses. It's not.
I will also
No.
I don't know if this matters, but I will also add that it does not. I'm not counting collectible cards in the same way that I'm not counting like the way like Uprising's things work. So
yeah, so you mean there are 6 distinct individual cards?
Yes.
Like 6 separate.
So yeah, it's
cards,
not it's not going to be like tier 3 U.S. research has like a parentheses on it, because that's not on the collection screen.
No, that's good. It's on. Is it Aunt Frida? Aunt Frida's got parentheses, right?
I don't think so.
Frida? I swear Frida's got parentheses. I'm so going to be wrong about that, but I swear Frida's got parentheses. This is the kind of question that I could spend sodding hours on. Thanks for that. Because this is the kind of question that's actually really interesting, because it's card text, but in a way that you wouldn't. By the way, how much spare time are they giving you at your new job that you're able to research this stuff?
Oh man, I have like this. Well, looking for some things, I found other things. Like that's how I got the Goshi Kisen question. Is I was like scrolling through cards, and then I like saw Goshi Kisen, read the text, and then like scrolled down, and then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, I saw something really weird that would make a great question. I like had to scroll back through it. I'm like, Goshi Kisen, this is probably the only card that says is, and then I like look up is and scroll through 300 cards that have the word is somewhere on the card text to confirm that it's the only one that starts with it.
Veteran tank. God damn it, German veteran tank.
The Panzer 4H?
Possibly.
The fight tank?
Yeah, it's one of the fight ones, because it's fight yada yada. There's something in brackets on it. So that's what we've got, a mighty 2, possibly 3 so far. Come on, Core, we can do better than this.
I'm going like through everything I can think. I cannot think.
I'm mostly kidding. Because. Yeah, I can only imagine that when I watch this back, James's face is going to just make me want to.
Oh yeah,
because
you are presently grinning from ear to ear.
Yep.
Because you are loving how annoying this is. Because this is just a whole new level of obscure. Some of them are buff cards because there's more than one card in this game that is gets plus something something brackets plus something something if.
Spearhead. I think was the plus X on Spearhead parenthesized? It might have been.
I think so. I think this is where I'm going with
I mean,
this.
and that did rotate out of Blood and Iron, so
Yeah.
that rotated like during Blood and Iron.
All right.
It was the rotation for United Fronts.
Spearhead is definitely a
Just
deep cut.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Spearhead. So 35T, 38T, Spearhead.
I think by default we finally reached, by the way, and I know you've been waiting for this moment, the moment whereby I think we've both quit and are just combining forces on the most annoying question. It's like no one person can answer this question.
That's all I can think of. I cannot think of the others. No, because
there's a countermeasure. There's a countermeasure with brackets, right?
I don't think so. Countermeasures. Let's see.
You know that thing where you're trying to run through an entire collection in your head?
Oh yeah,
and it hurts.
Because I'm trying to think of like slightly obscure cards, and like the only thing I can really think of, like when you say is something like Sisu, but I don't think Sisu has any parentheses on it.
My biggest problem is I'm not convinced that many of these are that obscure, as Smugboy will no doubt inform us later. I think there are several of these that we just don't notice the parentheses because they're happening all the sodding time.
I am confident.
He did say like, that we've seen we'll have seen these in play.
In play, yeah.
I am 100% confident that at 5 of these 6 cards have seen play in tournaments.
Yeah, and the sixth one is going to be Spearhead.
Yeah, sounds about right. Because the more we talk about Spearhead, the more I swear Spearhead is one of the cards that has parentheses. I'm pretty certain that Spearhead has parentheses.
I feel like it is. I could be going crazy though. I at this rate I don't know.
Oh come on! At this point, we're over 2 hours into a video that's about nerdy card knowledge, and of course we're going crazy. We're going crazy because we turned up.
I think there might be a Japanese aircraft with parentheses in the name.
Yes.
I feel like.
Now I'm trying to think.
I will also be open to give like partial points if you guys talk. You're able to describe like the type of card that it is. Like
I was going to say, so long as you're keeping track of the fact that we're not necessarily getting the cards, but we're getting close. Because oh my god, this is incredibly annoying.
It's not Sonya. It's not Jake. It's not Anne. The smokescreen buffer has no parentheses in it. I feel like it was like one of the weird like bombers, like slightly like 5 or 6 credit bomber.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is one of the bombers, but I can't remember the name of it. Is it one of the destroyer end of turns that is in parentheses? Is it the Soviet destroyer end of turn tank? By the way, I can only imagine that for people watching this, the visual of me with my head in my hands is so interesting, but this is really how I think. It's supposed to be like the most exciting viewing in history. Hi, I am actually here.
It's okay. My viewers are used to me thinking by staring diagonally upwards at like 45 degrees angle with my eyes rolled into my head.
Doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not a Japanese aircraft. No, I don't think so. That has parentheses.
The problem is they're one of those things that you see and then you pass it in your head because you're used to passing it in your head. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you remember the damn thing. Oh, God help me.
French playables, I don't think there's anything with parentheses. Italian playables, I don't think anything has parentheses in it. Finnish
So
playables.
now we're resorting to nation by nation, whereas he's
I'm
probably
going
got the
nation-
better idea.
I'm going
'Cause I
nation
was
by
going-
nation, thinking of like the playable cards that I see.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to remember the most annoying cards I've seen recently, and whether they had anything that for any reason would be in parentheses.
Poland. No, I don't think there's anything parenthesized on like Danuta. I don't think there's anything on Yulan parenthesized. I don't think there's anything on Carpathians that's parenthesized. I don't think either the 4 TP or the 7 TP have parentheses on them. Wolves?
No, Wolves doesn't have.
No,
Parentheses.
Tarnow doesn't.
No.
Just
Baby
stretch
tanks.
the...
Oh, what does the infantry? The infantry that is it's one of the infantry that does something when your opponent deploys a unit and moves into the front line in Poland. Is that in parentheses, or am I going mad?
No, that's the Bofors. That's also, I think, all plain text.
Okay. God damn it.
There's the Silesians, which is pin a unit that enters the front line, and then there's the
Yeah.
yeah,
Both
Yeah,
of which
both
are
are
starting
gone.
play, yeah.
Yeah.
Both of which are in fact plain text. God damn it.
Yeah, I'm stuck on 3. I can't think of anything else.
Can't believe there are.
Suppression, no.
That leaves us one short.
I'm always so glad to see when these questions work, because like when I'm making them, it's always like possible that I like throw up the question and then somebody's just like immediately like, oh, I looked at this yesterday. Bam, 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 easy.
Oh yeah, I have so much spare time in my life that I spend time parsing whether there are particular forms of English punctuation on cards.
I mean, I literally looked at the stupid invulnerable fighter today and I couldn't think of this.
Yeah, that's gonna work.
Yeah, I only have 3. I've got the 2 Panzers and Spearhead. That's all I can think of.
All right. What playable elites are there that are irritatingly complicated? Because that's the most likely time. Either it's going to give multiple buffs, or it's going to be something irritatingly complicated as an elite, and that's why it's going to need parentheses in the text.
You see, like the first thought I had was like reminder text, but they don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they parenthesize the reminder text either. They just write it in plain.
I think so. How much
I also
do
consider
not
like
pay in-
cards that add cards, but that's also all in plain text.
Yeah. Transpires that there's no uniformity to this.
Yeah, that's one thing that cards lacks is like is
A
consistency.
uniformity, yeah.
Yeah.
Shockingly, I have a feeling that might be a discussion topic that's intended to be provoked
I think this
by
is.
this
I think this
particular...
is also. I think this is also a result of them being a relatively small Icelandic studio.
Yeah. No, I mean, in fairness, that is true. SAR offensives... SAR offensive's not parenthesized, is it? That's all plain text. Because SAR
No, and then
is...
Cross of Lorraine has like the reminder as the same as I think like Uprising.
Yep.
Wave after wave is the same. Wave after wave, I play enough to know it's all plain text, even though it probably actually wouldn't be the worst actual argument for maybe using some parentheses. I don't... Can you tell that I have a competitive nature? We're so close and I don't want to surrender. Because it's not...
Let me think. The No, because the Soviet Elite 3 cost RT is hyphenated, not.
It's hyphenated, yeah. It's not parenthesized.
Don't
I
mind
saw
it.
that.
accidentally
You're
clicked on
making
my accidentally clicked on my screen and went to the next slide and showed all the answers.
God. Thankfully,
I only saw the 2 Panzers, so I'm at least 7 was correct on that.
Thankfully for you, I've got my head thoroughly buried in my hands trying to remember anything that's actually useful.
Yeah, like I'm thinking about like all the covert cards and stuff, and they're all plain text as well.
Yeah, because
Like
they're all
Iron Man
relatively...
and Betsa and all that
they're all
stuff.
relatively clean formatting, aren't they?
Yeah, it's very rare that there's parentheses on a card.
Yeah, I think a lot of the covert stuff might show parentheses when you hover over it after playing it.
Over it.
In the same way like Uprising.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking as well. I don't know. I really can't think of anything beyond those 3. I'm at a loss. I know I'm going to be very upset when I see the answers.
Yes, you are. All right, Bear.
I hate this. I hate it, but I surrender.
All right.
And this is gonna irritate me in a way that you're going to enjoy.
So I'll before just flipping straight to it, because there's 3 of them which like I wasn't expecting you guys to get necessarily. There's 3 of them that are easier. There's 3 of them that are harder. So I will start with the 3 that are easier. There's 35T, Panzer 35T, which you guys got. Panzer 38T, which you guys got.
Yep.
You guys did not get baited by the Panzer Befehlswagen 35T, because that one does not have the parentheses on the T. So if you ever go to the collection and look up 35T without parentheses, you will find Befehlswagen, but not the actual 35T. You guys did miss, though, 20th Panzer Grenadiers, which adds Panzer 35 parentheses T to your hand.
No!
God.
I can't believe I missed it.
Oh, okay. Now, to be fair, I'm after checking what they are, and yeah. On the unit, S.
Yeah.
On the Ascent.
Yes, so on the Ascent, it destroys and salvages the unit, apostrophe
Units.
S for units,
Yeah.
with the least attack on the battlefield, because it can target one, or it can hit one or multiple. And then the other 2 are Blue and Gray and Halifax, which both have parentheses including this on the card.
Yeah.
God damn it. Alright. Well, I mean, to be fair, Halifax hasn't really seen play, to be fair. Blue and Gray a little bit.
Halifax saw
Blue
a
and Gray,
lot of play at basically this time last year, and I don't know if it saw play in Worlds, because I know a ramp deck won Worlds, and people were playing Halifax in ramp not that long ago. I think that the decks might have gotten a bit faster, so they caught Halifax.
They started playing the 7-cost Lancaster, I think. The one that increased card cost in hand. I think that's what they swapped to.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was the...
Yeah, there was certainly Halifaxes and OCCs for a time.
Halifax is driving me nuts, though, because there are a number of people who have repeatedly built Halifax OTK ramp decks and played them in friendlies against me on stream. That I should have gotten. On the Ascent, come on!
Yeah, when I looked it up because I knew I saw including this, and I'm like, that is some weird text. I wonder how much parentheses comes up. And I knew before even typing it in, I'm like, well, I know 35T and 38T have the parentheses, but like I don't know if there's a ton of tanks that have it. So I looked it up, and I'm like, okay, so it's like 35T, 38T, Panzergrad makes sense. The 2 including this makes sense. And then I saw the on the Ascent, and I'm like, okay, no one is remembering.
No one is getting that. No one is getting that without being able to look at the damn collection.
This one was so hard that I literally have the collection search open. And I prepared for this. I looked through everything. I searched up the parentheses. Every time you guys mentioned a card, I went into the collection and directly searched up that card just in case I was wrong. Like, when you said Spearhead, I was like, wait, I swear Spearhead does have parentheses.
I could have sworn.
Yeah, I was full Mandela effect. I'm like...
Yeah.
Did they change that? Did Spearhead get released with parentheses and they just silently updated?
Because I could absolutely have sworn it did. Oh god.
Fair. It never saw play, so who knows?
Yeah, I think Hearthstone does a lot of like when it's like +X+X. I think Hearthstone has that in
Yeah,
parentheses. But
Yeah.
Cards doesn't. It just says X plus X.
Yeah.
But
God
yeah,
damn.
I will. Well, yeah, I gave Corey the bonus point for correctly pointing out that parentheses can appear on the cards like Uprising that have dynamic numbers on the cards. So, Corey, you do get a point for that, and that means that we are exiting part 1 with a score of 3-1 in favor of Core. And because I'm going to cut these videos up, I will do a quick outro here. So thank you very much if you guys got through the video. There will be 2 additional, well, 1 or 2 additional parts, depending on how long it takes us to get through the remaining 9 questions. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow, subscribe, like, join Discord, do all that same stuff for me, as well as my 2 lovely guests here who have agreed to sign up for this and go through what is really realistically torture of some kind. So, Core, because you are currently in the lead, I will start with you. Where can people find you? Obviously, links will be in the description for all of this, but what should people expect from your content?
Yeah, so people can primarily find me over on YouTube at Core Data. I normally upload once a week, usually deck techs and some gameplay stuff, and occasionally I stream over on Twitch. Pretty much just a mix of fun and meta decks normally covered on my channel. I don't claim to be the best deck builder or player, but I get by, so.
And I will now throw it to you, Bear. Where can people find you? I mean, realistically, they should know by this point. You've been on my channel so much, but...
There's a certain point at which our 2 channels just kind of intertwine for a longer period of time, but you can just at @bear_gardener everywhere. You can definitely find me on my Discord. The link's down there. You can usually find me streaming on Tuesdays and Saturdays, although it's a bit unpredictable at the moment. I am trying to upload more new content to YouTube. I am probably going to have another run in the near future at a new player refresher guide and climbing to field marshal video if I can get some time back in my life. But yeah, just come find me primarily on Twitch is where I'm probably most active at the moment. But I have been fairly consistent on YouTube recently. And most of the rest of the time, you can find me either A, here on lurking on J King's channel, or B, hiding under a rock in shame after this challenge.
I'll also do a quick plug of my own for a video on Bear's channel of Bear and Core going over the, I believe it was the rotation, and the balance changes. If you like long-form video, if you are here 2.5 hours into this video, you will also like that. So I highly recommend watching that video in particular that features our 2 guests here. I had a ton of fun watching that. And a quick preview of what to expect in part 2 is part 2 is all about changes to cards. Balance, buffs, nerfs, reworks, all of that coming in part 2. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will catch you guys in the next one.